Hello, friends, and welcome back to Noclip's Games of 2024. Our favorite games, the best games that we think came out in 2024. We think these are the best games. Whether or not they came out in this year is up for debate. And to help me figure that out are three of our intrepid video game explorers. Frank Howley, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. As I was ready to click into the podcast recording, my keyboard just didn't work, so it felt like I was in the Matrix or something. I didn't know what reality was, but I reset my USB, and now I'm here and ready to talk about two JRPGs and one. I don't know. I don't know what
American RPG, because we role play as an
American.
American.
The world, so it's like global RPG.
Ooh, a GRPG.
Yeah,
Swedish RPG, or yes, exactly. Jeremy, what's your favorite Swedish RPG?
My favorite Swedish RPG, that's got to be Sven and the Haunted Candlestick.
Wow, that's a
It's a
considering
deep cut.
all of the weird anti-Semitic humor in that. It's weird that you went for that one, but okay.
I kind of like it ironically, you know.
Jesse, I don't know how to say.
Give me
I'm not
a
going to
swing.
do that.
Who's
All
your
right,
favorite
okay.
anti-Semite?
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh
gonna
man,
go there.
I could think of so many.
I'm not going to go there.
Run down the list.
Jesse, how has it been editing dozens of hours of podcasts this
It's
month?
been fun. It's like listening back to a conversation that we had, and I'm like, oh, I said that? Oh, we said that? Oh, okay. Well, let me cut that part out. I had to cut out all of Danny's anti-Semitism, too. There's so much of it on the podcast.
God forbid. Yeah, I know. That fucking weirdo Irish guy who just loves Palestine so much.
Yeah, wow. What do you want them to be
People
free
keep
and
telling
have
me I'm an
rights? What the fuck?
anti-Semite on Twitter, so I got.
Well, you're on Twitter.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's you're either a Nazi or an anti-Semite, which used to be the same
Isn't
thing.
that the same
I thought,
thing?
But yeah. It's we live in interesting times, but we're not here to talk about the reality that is reality. We're here to talk about video games, the place where we go to disappear from all of our worries. And the people who label us. And we're here to label some video games. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, ReFantazio, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The final three in our top 10 games of this year. This is not the final. Oh, first of all, Merry Christmas, everyone. This is going up
Merry
a couple
Christmas.
days after Christmas. Hope you had Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy Merry Chrysler. Hope you had a wonderful time. Hope you're having a wonderful time. This is not the final episode of our Noclip Game of the Year celebrations. We will be back next week with some of yours, our patrons and our members. If you're a free member, you could have also submitted your games. Jesse's done incredible work. There's a list of like 100 games that people have submitted, and you did the math as well and figured out which ones were the most popular. So we're going to go through that, read out some quotes and whatnot in the next episode. This episode, though, we're going to finish off the top 10. But before we talk about that, massive shout out to all of our incredible Battle Pass holders. It's me, Ferrario, Penelope Hayes, Senator Armstrong, Eamon Slattery, Harry Flanagan. Yeah, Jess, exactly. We got to salute. Arno, Richard Matherson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Sven Hooster, Pez, Aaron L. White, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher, George Sikotas, Jacob Godserve, Tohir Tiliev, and Ryson. Thank you all so much. And all the folks over at patreon.com/noclip for getting us through 2024. But we're not done yet. We're almost done. Our work is almost complete. Before we talk about these three games, let's quickly, first of all, go through some of the awards we've already given out. Jesse, do you want to go through the first two here?
Sure. For Bollatro, we gave it the My Dad Went Out for a Pack of Bollatro and Never Came Home award. And for Astrobot, we gave it They Made One Like They Used To award.
Outstanding. Jeremy, you want to do the next two?
Absolutely. For UFO temporarily, placeholder potentially, we have the Deja New award. And for mouthwashing, Burns as It Cleans award.
Beautiful. We do not have one for 1,000 Times Resist quite yet. We sort of punted that one down the road last week. But Frank, do you want to read out the last two we've done here?
Yeah, for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, we gave it Killer's Seventh Seal.
Oh,
And then for Anthology of the Killer, we gave it the Newgrounds Expressionism Award.
I forgot about both of those, and they're even better, I think, now that we've we've given him some time. Yes, we will be giving 1,000 Times Resist and the 3 games today their very own bespoke awards once we've had a little bit of a chinwag about them. So let's first start with the beautiful chinwagging that happens on an island between Frank's 2 favorite countries, America and Japan. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth from Ryuga Got. I can never pronounce this properly. Frank, how do I do it?
I think it's Ryuga Gotoku Studio, but
okay,
I don't know.
Well, let's call it that. Dem Yakuza boys and girls and ladies and people. January 26th, this came out. Can you believe that? It makes sense because you need a year to complete this goddamn video game. This is ridiculous. The latest in the Yakuza series. Frank, you are well storied in your love of these games. You are very excited for a long time about this game. They do a good job of kind of announcing a game and releasing it within half a year, maybe a bit more. What did you make of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and why is it on this list?
Yeah, so Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, this is now the 8th game in the Yakuza mainline series, but starting with Yakuza 7, they kind of started to branch off with this series and started calling it Like a Dragon. So it was 2020, Like a Dragon was the JRPG where they new protagonist, kind of a new city, new style, still has the same sense of humor, but also very sentimental A story stuff. And so now with 4 years later, it's Infinite Wealth. It's the sequel. You're carrying on with Ichiban, his friends, making new friends. And this is the first time this series has left Japan, and now we're in Hawaii, USA. And with that, you get, I compare this game a lot to Earthbound, where you're getting this very, quirky, silly Japanese sense of humor, but through the lens, they're looking at Americana and just, I don't want to call it satire because it's so sincere. It's just no, I get very easily, along Waikiki Street, there's just a hamburger shop, and you go inside, it's a very big, obese man. And he's like, did you know hamburgers are healthy for you? Or whatever. And so it's just it's just very point blank, this is America. And then you're immediately robbed, and there's gun violence, and
Dude,
whatever.
You're robbed. You step out of the airport, and the first person you meet in this video game robs you and leaves you for dead, and then ends up being your friend. Mm-hmm. It's not a great it's not a great I guess version of the Japanese experience in America, if this is what they think of it.
Yeah, they always make comments too, oh, you're so nice and serious. People are gonna take advantage of that. But the Ichiban, the reason why, even these 2 games have been such a nice change of paces. Kiryu is awesome, but he's very cool and stone faced, and he's silly. Whereas Ichiban, it's inverted, literally his costume in the Yakuza series, Kiryu has the silver suit and the red interior shirt. Ichiban, it's inverted. He has this giant flamboyant, goofy red suit and then a little silver shirt on the interior. But yeah, he wears his heart on his sleeve. Is so open, and he wants to be the hero. He wants to be the best, and because he's so obsessed with being a hero, he's obsessed with Dragon Quest. Literally, he sees the world through the lens of a JRPG, and so just people on the street will transform into monsters, and everything is gamified. So it's what I love about all these series is it's grounded in real life. It's grounded in real cities. So even walking in Waikiki, it is mind blowing how accurate it is. The fact that they got the license for ABC stores. So if you ever go to Hawaii, every corner, it's like convenience in Japan. Instead of Family Mart, whatever, it's every corner has ABC stores. So the fact that that's in there, you can get all the actual stores in Hawaii are in here. So it's very surreal. Big reason why I was very sentimental playing this game is as a kid, my dad would take my family and I to Hawaii all the time. So it was oh, this is so dead. This is dead on accurate. I have video, family vacation footage of us on Waikiki Beach, with Diamond Head in the background, everything. And this game came out a month after my dad passed away. So as I was going through the grief and everything and literally looking at videotapes and family vacation photos, I was playing this game, and it kind of brought those memories to life again, in a way that was so surreal. And I don't know, it kind of helped crack through the grief a lot. And I was playing it with my mom, and we were reminiscing about my dad in Hawaii. And it was this is just a video game helping us express these emotions, which is it's very insane. But not only just because of that, the game itself is very good. A big reason why this was my favorite game of the year, and the year of, and one of maybe one of the biggest of this generation, the best year for JRPGs. We had so many games come out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We'll get deep into Metaphor. We have Like a Dragon. There's so many more. Even a Dragon Quest remake came out that we didn't even get a chance to talk about. But what I like a Dragon, what I like the Yakuza games is they're easy to play. They're simple.
Yes. Yeah.
There are times where they can, they'll crank up the difficulty, but Studio RGG is never shy of like, oh, just buy infinite health items. It doesn't matter. We just want you to have fun. Like
they're
game
so
is,
good
yeah.
as well at like telegraphing when you're going. They're like, this is going to be a boss fight, so you should. And they usually like give you a room full of like food and shit as well beforehand. It's like they're so generous with it. And I think that's a big reason why I was able to get into this in a way that I can't with other JRPGs. That and just the fact that the combat is the way it is. Like I don't like turn-based combat, but the way that the combat's done in this one, where it's you are moving the character around, like nobody's attacking you. But like the directionality of where you're striking them or like trying to line people up and having an idea of like where your people are. I don't know, just the way that it's done. You can also like just spam your way through them really fast if you want to. Like this game is just like bling 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 bling, menu menu menu, bling bling bling, menu. Don't worry about it. Like here's all your upgrades. It's good fun, and they're constantly giving you that feeling of progression, even if it's like, oh, I didn't want to get in this fight, but like, oh look, all my numbers went up, all my stats for my characters went up, and they do that like nice and like I'm getting better every day and like all that stuff. It's such a good feeling.
Yeah, like everything in this game like clicks or chimes. Like every time you pick stuff up, you get upgrades and things like that. So it's constant like dopamine, which is like yes. I mean, we talk about like Balatro and stuff, but like this is like my Balatro. It's like everything you do clicks and chimes, and Ichiban is just yes. Yeah, like it's joyous. It is so joyous. And again, also the locale of Hawaii. It's like this game is it's tropical. You're on a beach. You're seeing the Sega Blue, which is like it's Sonic Adventure 1 is the exact like nearly the same locale. Like I don't know if it's Adventure City or whatever the hell it is, but like
I mean, they have Crazy Taxi in here. They have like all the what are some of your favorite side quests? I was practically everything from the previous game comes up. I was wandering through at one stage and I saw a massive Roomba and I was like, there's no way they're doing that here as well. Like just like every single sea character from the previous game turns up in Hawaii and he's like, what are you doing here? And then suddenly you're off like fucking delivering nachos on a one wheel or something. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they even bring back like a series staple is like the adult baby guys.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that shows up. There's a woman
brilliant.
like chasing a baby carriage, like help my baby. And so there's this like I think it's like a QTE or a chase sequence, and then you get to the carriage and it's just an adult man in a diaper going wow, and whatever. And then you have to fight his diaper friends, and whatever. So it's an initiation to join the diaper gang, whatever. I think my favorite silliest like story in this game is there's a romance plot involving two chickens. And it's
yeah.
So it's like a series of quests.
Is that what that is? Got it. Okay,
and then so I mean like Yakuza 0 had the thing where you meet a chicken in a bowling alley, but like and so it's just the game is so silly.
There's romance guys between that little boy and his like teacher he's selling lemonade so she can go. It's just so I mean then that romance like that just like puppy love sweet.
Yep.
Thing, and you're going around trying to help this kid sell lemonade to strangers so he can save up enough money, and then it ends up being like, was it like some weird human trafficking story or something? Like it's just God, it's such a it's every quest you're like, it's going to be funny, like they're going to do something funny or sincere or like a mixture of the two of them. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's such a huge staple with like even the music that plays during all the side quest stuff is very silly. It's just I mean like to me it's like just reading manga, but like a gag manga where it's like every chapter is something silly and it's disposable, but like it just keeps adding to the weight of how silly and joyous this is. The thing that I got so addicted to, and a lot of people will play this game and they'll get to this part and they never get past it because it just turns into like its own thing, is the Dondoko Island, which this game, again, when they teased this out, it was like, wait, you guys, so Dondoko Island is straight up like Yakuza Animal Crossing. And that has its own storyline too, where there's people invading your island and you're running commercials to invite guests over, and people you solve side quests for in the mainland will come to your island and stay there, and you're basically building your own city. And so like and even in that there's so many buildings and props from all the Yakuza games. So like not only like is this game good, but even as like a love letter to the entire series, there's so many Easter eggs and things that just keep building. But the Dondoko Island thing is such an addicting loop. It's, again, everything is very satisfying. You're farming farming materials. Also on the Dondoko Island is your Sujimon farm. So also in this game is its own Pokemon thing, which has its own storyline, and you have to battle all the Sujimon leaders, and it's like
capturing Sujimon might be the funniest thing in ever. I thought I would get old. That would get old. I found that hilarious every single time, where you basically, instead of like throwing a ball to catch the Pokemon, you present them a gift, but like he gets there, you have to pick the gift, and then he like gets on a knee and like holds it up, and then you just spam like optimistic phrases at them or something.
I love you, you're the best.
You're the best. You're the best. You're being my favorite. And you have to like, and then at the end it's like, will they become a Sujimon? Like, will they become a human cockfight for you? You know? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, whoa, we got to. And then you upgrade your people and. Fuck, that whole thing is, and I mean, we talked about the dating sim before. The dating stuff is so funny. Like the first time you, like, what are some of the gag date? Like, is there a duck at once? I think
it's like half of them will be actual like
human
girls,
people,
and they show like reverse photos, like POV stuff of like, ooh, hello, Kiryu, and it's cute and playful. But and then the other half, it's just catfishing. So one is literally a kitty, one's a giant man, one's like a mascot character. But even as you're talking to them, they're sending you fake photos of like, ooh, here's me in a bikini, like, oh, let's see where this goes. And then you get there, and it's
Speaking of mascot characters, that guy in the Hawaiian tourism board, what the fuck is his name again?
Aloha Owl or something. It's something so basic, and he's one of the guys you meet. And
he's one of he is maybe the scariest looking mascot I have ever seen. He doesn't talk, but he doesn't talk because he doesn't want to. He's being like beaten up by his boss, so she's mean to him, so he just pretends he's mute, but he talks to you, and then you have to go around like that's like a photo. Game
photo challenge. There's also a Pokemon
God.
Snap mode where you ride the trolley, and it's called Sicko Snap, where you're taking pictures of like people flashing.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's infinite. It's infinite. And then like since like Jesse and Jeremy haven't played it, I will like curb spoiler stuff, but like. You're playing the game, and then it does the thing that Yakuza 4 and a lot of them do, where it will start to switch protagonists a bit for different chapters. And where it goes and who you play as, it's like it all of a sudden feels like playing a brand new game. So the game is so long, and kind of when I started to burn out, like I did the Dondoko Island, whatever, and then when we were starting to prep for like Game of the Year stuff, maybe around October or so, I was like, let me get back in here. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait, what the hell is? And I was like texting my friend Carlos who works at Sega, like, what? He didn't tell me. He didn't tell me all this stuff. So I was like, oh my God. And so all of a sudden it became a brand new game for me, and it really had hooked me in. So like also a big part of like this reason this year was so nuts to me. Because when I started playing this game, I'd never been to Japan. And a big reason why I wanted to go to Japan was during quarantine is when I played through all the Yakuza games. Like, I think I even started playing it fantasizing, like, man, I can't travel. All right, let's go to Japan in the world of Yakuza. So I would play all the Yakuza games, and even that night when I would be reading, I'd just leave the game on and just have the ambience of Kamurocho on and just hearing the sirens, the chitter chatter. All this was so great. And then back in March, and then later in August, when I finally got to go to like Kabukicho, which is like the Kabukicho, the real life Kamurocho that has the actual Yakuza gate, or real life Yokohama, which is in, like the last game and all that. It's like, I have never experienced something where, like, not even the Super Mario World at Universal Studios is nothing compared to actually going to Kabukicho and just being there and being like, oh, I'm in Yakuza. I mean, it's, Yakuza came out later, but whatever. But it is so surreal. So that only magnified my love for these games and everything. And now, even as we're speaking right now in December, Sega has put out Yakuza vending machines with merchandise in Kabukicho that say like, I love Kamurocho. So it's like, so the real life fusion is nuts, not only in Japan, but in Hawaii. It's so weird. Like stores in Hawaii had pop-up shops events where you can get merchandise with Ichiban and everything. And, I don't know, this game, like I'm almost done getting the platinum trophy on this, and my runtime is like 75 hours. I did like burn out halfway, like at 2 points where I'd play it, all right, get tired, come back to it a few months later. I think all these JRPGs, even like Metaphor or Final Fantasy VII, like burning through a single JRPG, I can't do it. I just need to take breaks from it. But this game with all the variety, all the side quests, all the characters, the job system, you can pick between like 10 to 12 different classes. So like that's what I would do too. I'd level up a thing and then let me play it differently. Let me put Kiryu in a cowboy costume and shoot guns at the same time I was playing Red Dead Revolver or whatever. So it was like, I don't know, you can personalize this game a lot. The game never punishes you. It's very helpful. It's very friendly. I could talk infinitely about my love for Yakuza and all this. And on the Noclip crew, we did a video featuring the voice actors, featuring Peach Milky and everything. So yeah, I feel like Cedar RGG kind of captures my sensibility, my sense of humor. What I like about any media, it's silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It does have heart. It's fun. It's addicting, and it's not. And also, you can save anytime, anywhere, and it doesn't. Whereas like Metaphor, there's times where I'm like, oh crap, oh god, where's the save button? Yeah. So this is like a very friendly, accessible JRPG that's just filled with laughs, filled with joy. And again, they've already announced there's a new one coming out in like 2 months.
I was about to ask you what first they announced they're working on a new Virtua Fighter at the Game Awards.
Yep.
And then also is it Project Century? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Project Century. So I think
Coolest looking
like
game.
yeah, it looks like, it takes place 1950 in Japan, but there's violence and stuff. So I think this is outside the Yakuza universe, but I don't know. Maybe they haven't revealed, but like this is a standalone game, Project Century. And then
but it's from the team who do Yakuza, right?
Yeah,
or like a dragon now. Yeah.
And then in February they're launching like basically they did the same thing last year where they put out like a short side story game with Kiryu. This one's going to be with Majima called like. It's like Pirate Yakuza.
I forgot about
this. That comes out in February.
God.
Yeah.
What's the actual? Isn't it like really ridiculous?
It's Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So this one will be beat 'em up, hack and slash. Now it's Majima's turn, and it's gonna be very cartoonish and silly.
God,
so
yes,
yeah, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza.
That's the thing. I'll take Majima now. I'm like, yes, give me some Majima. I've had, I've had my fill of the other flavor. What a special game. Frank summed it up perfectly there. Nothing really to add. Just the bits that I liked. I already mentioned. This game's got so much heart. It's really something special. All right, let's name this. Let's name this one. Frank, do you have any inclination, or what are we talking about with this one? We're saying we're loving the Hawaii. We're loving the joy, the optimism.
There's also like literally like vacation. I think that's the whole point. Is Kiryu like Ichiban goes on a vacation. There's something about like vacation. There's bliss. Like it's also like the thing where it's like the awards in the title, like
best vacation ever.
Yeah, it is something like that too. Because also it's like there is something there where. Like the game itself is a vacation, but then also this is external. But like going to Japan to me was the best vacation ever, and then coming back home and still extending that stay through the Yakuza games. Like it's a very personal thing, but like there's something about Vacation Hawaii. It is like again it is infinite. Like there's so much stuff. There's even new game plus and all that. Yeah.
That definitely comes across to me that there is like it's a game where if I was done with one thing, I'd either do something that was more interesting to me, or often I would go, oh, there's like 58 more quests here I'm not done, or like little things on the map that you go in and it like starts a cutscene and suddenly you're like working as a chef in a sushi restaurant or something, or a waiter. Like this is like oh, they added like every quest seems to be it's not like the Ubisoft formula where like, and like I'm not dunking on Ubisoft games or anything, but like a lot of them are sort of the same 5 or 6 templates and they've applied them to a different thing, or like even Indiana Jones is. It's a very Western thing. Whereas in this, it seemed like every little game mode or mission was like bespoke, like they would build something for that, which I thought was really, really cool. Jeremy and Jesse, got any ideas to throw in here? Or?
Best vacation ever seems fine.
Yeah, I was thinking something about like a digital vacation or like infinite vacation.
Infinite vacation. Yeah. What's another word for infinite? We just thesaurus this.
Yeah, it's like endless,
never-ending, endless vacation. Vacation, I hope never ends.
I do like the Endless Vacation does have a nice, because I always think of myself. Oh, Endless Summer Vacation has kind of like been my mentality since I graduated high school.
Right.
Like,
Summer of Games Vacation.
Give it the Jeff Keighley 2022
Summer
Summer
of
Games
Games
Award.
this is the Summer of Game. This
Yeah.
is
Hold on, the
summer,
Summer of Games
Yeah.
Award.
This is the summer of game, because it really is the summer of gaming. That is a
Yeah.
good point.
It never
it's your
ends.
vacation. You're going to it's the vibe. It also has that like I don't know, I don't know. It does feel like high school summer, which like it's just silly.
It's like you're on vacation, you got no responsibilities, you're just there having a good time, doing
Yeah.
whatever you
That's
feel like
kind of
doing,
his
whenever you feel
vibe.
like doing it.
Yeah.
As well, because like oftentimes, like I think there's a part, I forget where, there's a part in it where, oh no, I guess it's when you're doing some of those Hawaii things where he's just like, yeah, I gotta go out and see some of Hawaii with my friends. And then you're off like fucking playing, volleyball, and like he'll go swimming, but like he'll go swimming and like high five a dolphin. Like it's never like, oh, I just went swimming. It's always like the best swim anyone's ever had. And he's like fucking ripped and like, yeah, and his hair is perfect and
When
his
you
friends
change
are all great.
when you change job classes, it's at the tourism board. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, have you thought about like becoming a surfer? And then, it's that insane cutscene stuff. And then you unlock the surfer class. Have you thought about becoming a martial arts star? Like it's all of those like snapshots. So you do get all that. And even Dondoko Island, the idea is you're building the #1 summer vacation resort. So I think like, the Summer of Gaming.
Summer
Award
of Gaming is a good, that's,
I think for
right
some
there.
reason I think Endless Vacation works a bit better because like
It could be like the endless summer of gaming. The
sure,
endless summer.
yeah,
is like
there
an
you go.
old
Get them
60s
both in
movie.
there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
does it feel more summer or does it feel more vacation is what I was.
Maybe
Asking.
vacation because Hawaii and even like Okinawa or whatever, like these are places that are all year round have
Yes.
that climate. So like that's again, like even my dad would take us to Hawaii like even in April or even like October. It's like you can kind of go any time of the year. So that, and I think Hawaii represents it. So Endless
And
Vacation.
The people in the game as well are like the NPCs. A lot of them are tourists, and then other ones are like they feel like they're on vacation. Like it's not, you don't have a bunch of like people walking around in suits. Like even the locals are in shorts and fucking like we hit the whole shaka. Like you just go up and say hey to people, and you get like social connections with like randoms, and they're like yeah, like you're just like being friends with folks the whole time.
Yeah.
Endless Vacation award seems pretty
Yeah.
solid. If you guys are all right with that,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'd
fits the
solid.
bill.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. The Endless Vacation Award to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And we will move on to the next game, Metaphor ReFantazio, created by Studio Zero and released on October 11th. Who was it that mentioned Studio Zero and the folks who made
Fellow
was it
Travel.
Lorelei? Is it?
That's the publisher for 1,000 Times Resist.
Oh, that's what it was. Have like almost the same logo.
they're
Oh,
like
yeah,
two
yeah.
logos walking towards each other. That was Jeremy
Yeah.
who brought that up.
Yeah, one's like a
Weird.
little guy with an elf hat walking with a dog this way, and one is like a girl with a little bindle sack walking the other way. They're going to meet each other, as Danny
Is
said.
that what those are called? The one that you sling over your shoulder? It's called a bindle
Bindle
sack?
sack.
It's like a hobo bindle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good word.
I just
That's
never
a
heard
good-
bindle.
Bindle sack.
I like
I
that.
like it. Bindle sack games coming soon. Metaphor ReFantazio. Who wants to talk about Metaphor? Because I don't.
So did you try it at all, Danny? Did you,
So I tried. The word
Yeah.
is tried, and
you got that anime cutscene. You were like, fuck it, refund.
I played 3 hours of it maybe.
That's the opening cutscene.
Yeah, literally.
went-
That's nothing.
and like and I was like, the way I felt was, when like somebody like the restaurant brings out like this really beautiful like fish or something that you've never had before, and it's like really fancy and like people like it, and then you eat it and you're like, oh fuck. where it's like I can appreciate this. I wish I liked it, but it ain't for me. And there's nothing I can do about it. I tried it, and then I went, can I get a Steam refund for this, do you think? Have I played enough of it? And I stopped playing because I wanted a refund. And I got my refund, and I'm happy I got my refund. So I can
all right.
spend it on a game I'll suffer through less. I tried. It's just those games I'm not interested in, but I felt bad. I was like, this seems like an insanely well-made game that if I liked any of this, I would be like, this is fucking the shit. It seemed like the world seemed cool and the production values were insane. But it just wasn't for me. So who wants to pick it up?
I think Frank has the most time with this.
Yeah.
If you want to give it a go, if not,
Yeah.
happy to chat about it.
No, please. Okay, so Atlas. Oh God, even at the beginning of the year, I've spent so much time with Persona 3, but we've talked about it's an older game. Atlas has been cooking this for like 5 to 6 years, and like even when Persona 5 came out, all of the memes were like it has the most extra UI. Like Persona 5, as everything is like revolving around a gun chamber. So all this is nuts. Every game they just completely reinvent their UI. It's insane. With this one, it's now like, I don't know, the aesthetic of all this is like before all their games have been very much like in the Persona series, high school stuff. This is now, all right, screw all that stuff. Let's make a complete fantasy adventure where all the rules have changed. Whatever. It's very Game of Thrones. There's different classes, races. Everyone's gunning for the throne. There's an election coming up. There's one person who this opening cutscene stuff. They basically kill the old king and he's gonna take the throne. But we're gonna have an election. Anyone has a fair shot at the title, but it's BS. This guy, it's all rigged from the start. But there's one kid, an outsider, someone far below who has no prejudice in his heart, who wants to unite everyone, not so he can be king, but so that the world has a chance for hope and future. And the reason he has ideas of hope is at night he goes to bed and he dreams of a world much like ours, where there's cars, there's buildings, what there's electricity, what is all this stuff? But in this world, which this is where it's kind of Cap, where it's like in this world there's no prejudice, there is no racism. I'm like, I don't
settle
know.
down.
You're
Hold
too
on.
hopeful.
What world is that?
I don't know.
It's exactly
Japan
like our
doesn't-
world, except good.
Yeah, Japan doesn't have racism because it doesn't let gaijins become citizens.
Yeah, I will find a way. I'll find a way. But so it's just, so the story setup is like, oh, okay, cool, awesome. There is the bad, like the Sephiroth, and you have your Cloud. And what's so cool about this is like, yeah, they've done the high school stuff forever, which I love. I like all these games either take place in parts of Japan or Tokyo. Here is Atlas finally being like, again, they've done Shin Megami, they've done stuff outside of high school stuff, but like this feels like a new Persona game in terms of the core, the structure, the relationship stuff, the dungeon, the calendar system. But now it's fantasy, so it feels like they're making their Final Fantasy, and it's like the best Final Fantasy I've played since like, I don't know, I like 10, but even that's corny. Like this is so so good. Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I don't know, Jeremy or Jesse, do you guys want to take it from your perspectives on it?
So I've joked on the podcast for a long time about how I've tried to finish Persona 5 for the last like 5+ years, and I've just never been able to do it for some reason. I play a couple hours of it a year, and at the start of those sessions, I'm like, wow, this is gonna be awesome. I love Persona, and then for some reason, I just burn out really quickly on it. I don't know why that is, because the games are so stylish and so interesting, and they seem so up my alley. I love JRPGs, but I feel like Metaphor is like, I feel like it's the solution. It's like the cure to my anti-Persona disorder. I think this game is fantastic. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's the theme. I don't know if it's the thing that makes it more appealing to me is that it feels like they took a lot of the cyclical systems driven stuff of Persona. The like, what are you going to do today? You're going to like hang out with the guy who runs the shop and get more points and, you know, like tolerance or whatever. But in person, because he's different than us and it takes a lot of tolerance. So it's like, something about Metaphor breaks down the cyclical part of Persona, where in Persona, it feels like you're kind of instantly thrust into that cyclical system, and then you're kind of just like every day is that cycle thing. Metaphor sort of onboards you into what feels like a more traditional JRPG, and I was very curious where it was going to like, how it was going to sort of do the handoff into the more traditional schedule system. And it does it so effortlessly that I feel like it got me interested in the game as an RPG, not as a Persona game, but like as just a JRPG, a game where you're on an adventure with your party, building, builds for them, outfitting them with gear and getting spells, like all of the traditional JRPG trappings. And then it kind of, as you hit the first major dungeon, is like, oh, by the way, if you want to like go hang out with some of your friends, like it's so stealthily snuck it in that I feel like by that point I was already hooked or something. But yeah, I think this game is fantastic. I think I always really like the battle system in Persona, but the battle system in this is fucking unbelievable. So there's this sort of like, it's almost like like an action points system that you see in a lot of RPGs in general. But the interesting thing is it has this like you have like the 3 sort of like stamina crystals or whatever, like action points. You can use half of one and then use it again if you hit a weakness that an enemy has, like an elemental weakness. If you get a crit, I can't remember what the other conditions are, but basically it creates this system where you can chain together a bunch of actions, like basically double the amount of actions you should be able to cram into a turn. And I think the moment this game hooked me is I was like, oh, is this like, this game's kind of like easy. And then in the very first dungeon, like not even the first real dungeon, like in the mines very, very early on, I got my ass kicked by just like not even a boss, just like a random enemy. And I realized how narrow the window is, where if you don't optimize your strategy, things can go south so quickly. And they start stacking up status ailments. Like in the beginning, like sort of, it's almost like the tutorial dungeon, I guess, the mines. You can, if you take like one hit, it takes out whatever, like 2/3 of your health bar on some characters. And I think that's where I started to really like it, because there's this thing with my brain where I feel like a game needs to really push me in a way where it's like if I can half-ass the game, if I can get away with sort of like half learning the systems and just like half paying attention, I will.
Sounds like Yakuza.
Except I do like Yakuza a lot. But it kind of pushed me with the difficulty very early on, and that's kind of when I was like, oh, this is sick. It is a game that like requires you to understand its systems to persevere even through encounters this early, even through like non-boss fights. And yeah, I just think it's like it's a story world that's really interesting. It's a battle system that rewards like synergy and understanding of its complex systems, and also like learning about the enemies as you go through these dungeons repeatedly, because it takes multiple visits to a dungeon to complete. You start to learn about the types of enemies that are there, what their weaknesses are. You get a little bit of information from the information vendor where he's like, there's gonna be a lot of poison in there. You might want to like look out for poison. And it's just this like, I don't know, it's just very joyful sort of like dungeon crawling experience that is also wrapped in a very grand and interesting story.
Yeah, everything isn't like overly obtrusive. Like all the information that you need is usually right there. I think what I like about Metaphor ReFantazio more than I like about the Persona games, because I played Persona 3 Reload earlier this year and I felt myself kind of like slugging along at points. Metaphor ReFantazio is way faster. Like in terms of getting you onboarded into the story, we got a lot of stuff to set up. They're like, we got to explain the grand magical election where if you look up in the sky, you can see who's winning. It's like a 24/7 CNN in the sky. It's beautiful and also awful. Like they have so many concepts they need to explain that they can't spend the first 15, 20 hours introducing you to different high school classmates and the talking animal. Although this one does have one. Metaphor is a lot more. It's just like so much more streamlined, and the quality of life stuff that's here, both for its storytelling, but also for its gameplay. Something that really stood out to me with Metaphor ReFantazio, because you guys have covered the story, I think, as well as we can for people who haven't finished it. The gameplay thing that really stuck out to me the most is for turn-based action games, and Jeremy's going to know what I'm talking about like 5 seconds into this. The grinding aspect of these games is a pain in the ass for turn-based games. Every time you hit something on the map, you start a fight. It's the same animation. You press attack, you kill it. Animation. It's what you were saying about Like a Dragon. Like Danny, you were saying like, oh, when you get into a fight, just quickly, I'm the greatest. This completely just gets rid of you're fighting low-level enemies. You got to wait for the animations, press the attack button, and this you just whack something on the overworld, it's dead. And you get the XP. I was like, why don't we do that on every single game? Turns out they figured it out 30-something years ago in Earthbound.
It's the Earthbound system. Yeah, in Earthbound, if you read into... So in Earthbound, there was also enemies on the overworld or whatever. They'd kind of like pursue you if they saw you within like whatever their leashing distance was. And if they're low enough level, they run from you. And if you catch them, it just like screen flashes and they die and you get the experience. So yeah, I found that incredibly satisfying in Metaphor too, that you just like run up and whack enemies that are sufficiently low and you just get the XP. The thing that it reminded me of is in Super Mario RPG, there are boxes where you get a star, like a Mario star that turns you invincible. And when the star is going, you can run through all of the enemies that are on the overworld, and it counts as completing all of those battles. And it's like,
nice.
it's this like sweeter than, it's like a fucking sugary sweet experience to just like, you just did like 20 battles, whatever, and it took you an hour to get here, and then you just run and you complete like 15 battles in 10 seconds. And they're all it's just like boop, 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 and then you all the level up screens like all tally at the end, so it's like you get to watch 3 level up screens. I this captured that feeling really well. It was just like sometimes it's nice to have an alternative to just brute forcing every battle, even when, especially rather, once you understand sort of all of the weaknesses and have kind of like have mastery of a dungeon. It's nice to be hitting that upper level point where now you can kind of just like blast through and not have to fight all these low level enemies again just to do it.
Yeah, it almost becomes like a breath of fresh air when you do run into an enemy that you have to fight. Like now there's a new puzzle for me to figure out. What are the interactions for these weaknesses? In what ways do I want my setup to be aligned? Like my party's makeup of archetypes, they're called in this, right? Not metaphors, which I think is funny. I think that system also, that's the other thing gameplay wise that is so smart. Jeremy, you pointed out that the combat in this is probably one of the best combat systems that's been in a Persona style game. I completely agree. I think they've always built on the previous one in a way that makes it faster and feel less like a turn-based game and feel more like an action game with a little bit of delay between it. You get to sort of think about your options. Persona 5 did that with its animations. This does it also. Metaphor ReFantazio also has tons of flashy animations that make things feel a little bit more active. But the fact that you can, like you said, you get another attack move if you land a critical or a weakness, but also if you skip your turn and you have a full gem, you get a half gem on the next guy. Like, there's so many little things like that. And then the synergies of your archetypes, like they tell you, oh, if you have a knight and a mage, you can do this. Or if you have a healer and a knight, you can do, or a seeker, you can do all these different things. So there's like how you want to play the game, but then also strategizing for the enemies that you're going to be up against based on what the information seller tells you or whatever, what you're going to come up against. There's so many little things like that where I'm like, this is such a blast. Fighting in a turn-based RPG always ends up feeling like a barrier to the enjoyment to me. And this one is just like, it's as much fun, if not more for me at times, compared to the story, which I also am just loving so far. So Metaphor's kicking ass. I love it so much.
What are you guys playing on? And how does it look? Because I love the look of this game. It's just beautiful. Like the cutscenes are, you sort of expect it from Atlas at this stage, but they're just like full on, high production anime stuff. But the gameplay, the look of this game in particular, and the diversity of it, because like the city obviously is like this. The city itself is just like really wonderful, but like I really enjoyed also the different areas that I at least saw in the first few hours in terms of like out in nature and stuff. But then I watched a bunch of videos and shit since and been like, oh yeah, this stuff goes really crazy.
I was on Steam Deck for most of my playtime.
Nice.
It doesn't look amazing. It's got a lot of aliasing issues, but it gets the job done.
So kind of. I did a bit on Steam Deck too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing PS5, so I think it's full 60. It looks incredible, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing on PC and enjoying it. I feel like the presentation of this game, not only like the cutscenes, but also just the way it adds tactility to the map and sort of like, I feel like it pushes past the structure of Persona in a way through a lot of these UI elements, where in Persona, going between the different stops on the subway always kind of felt like it felt like a menu. I feel like the map on this has a real, like, it feels like an overworld rather than a menu. And I think that makes it feel more like a grand adventure rather than like, all right, let me go to like the ramen shop on the list of places I can go. And something that Chelsea pointed out to me, which I thought was a really good insight into maybe why this game works better for me, is that as you play through a Persona game, like Persona 5 is the one I've played the most of. I played a little bit of like 3 other Persona games, but in 5 you kind of, once you understand the structure of the game in terms of how the narrative works, it's like you're going to meet an evil like gym teacher, and then you're going to like do the dungeon to defeat the evil gym teacher, and then he's going to have a moment where he's like, I should stop abusing children. And then you're like...
Well, because you beat the shit out of his dreams so hard that he doesn't want to abuse children anymore.
Yeah, basically Persona is kind of like Freddy Krueger if he was the good guy.
Anime Inception.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
But once you beat the gym teacher, you're kind of just like, okay, who's the next who's the next bad adult in this world, and it follows this sort of very like rigid structure of you kind of know what's coming, you know, the cycle, the rhythm of the game. I feel like Metaphor is really interesting because it takes almost the exact same cycle of going into dungeons and working your way through them over multiple days, but like I don't know where the story's going, which I think is probably more interesting to me because it's like it has this grand map that feels like an overworld, and I just scrolled around. You can't go places yet because you have like a limited number of locations you know about, but I was just scrolling around. I'm like, oh, there's like a whole like Tolkien map of like there's like a snow place over here, there's like a desert, and it's cool just knowing that there will be this grand adventure that is not bound by like which pedophile am I going to fight in Tokyo.
One element
Stick it on the box, guys. Stick it on the box. Metaphor ReFantazio.
There's no pedophiles to fight.
I was gonna say one other element I really do love is like there's a few more things I want to like mention, but one is like just the I don't know, airship, whatever, the ship, the like walking ship, like it's like the very much like what's Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah,
This giant
totally.
ship,
Yeah,
and even
1000%.
like the conductor of it is amazing. And I think like what you said about how the overworld stuff is so much more grounded, because when you pick your location, it's like this is going to be 2 days away. Are you sure you want to do this? Because on your way you might get boarded by pirates or whatever, or things like the enemies. The weather might change, and this game has a system where if the weather is different, the enemies aren't going to be resistant to weaknesses, or are going to be resistant to weaknesses and stuff. So you have to like, this game has so much more strategy than just like, okay, use fire against ice, whatever. It's like there's this extra layer. Building your job system and just like I'll switch jobs before a certain enemy, it just makes it so much more grounded, because you're right, if you mess up, you are destroyed. Thankfully, compared to like other games, like if you die, it doesn't set you back that far. Sometimes it'll be right before that encounter, sometimes it'll just be the room. So like if you do die, the checkpoint system's pretty favorable. And then the thing I love, like all these games have the best character designs. My favorite, like I like there's like the red-haired elf girl, there's Gallica the fairy, that's cute. But there's this little bat. That Heisme is this little bat, and it's like, this guy's cute. What's his story? My son was killed, and I'm looking for a grave. Will you accompany me to find a grave site to bury my son?
That's
and
gaming.
So you're talking to this little like bat who has like a Dorito shaped like body, like who's this little tough bat, and it's like his backstory is so sad, and it's like, I'll help you, little guy. It's just, I don't know. It's just like I love all the relationship tiers as you get deeper in their stories, and it's just like. And I'm still like, I just got a new character in my party, and she's very like 60s looking, has this long, insane hair that looks like old 70s anime. And it's like, I can't wait to keep seeing new characters. And it's just like everything in this game is amazing. I think by them, going into fantasy, like Archipel put out a documentary like that came out before the game release that talked about that inspirations. It's great. There's no spoilers, but they basically said like, we all wanted to make a fantasy game because everyone at the studio plays fantasy games, and we're like, why haven't we made a fantasy game? And they said by making a fantasy game, it's like, oh, there's no limits now. We can put any idea we want in here because it's like we're making the world from scratch. We don't have to find some way to chain it to Tokyo or whatever. So that's why it's like every time you meet new classes or races or whatever, it's just like, it's so wild. And I think they got to go really creative with their character designs and everything. And it's just like, man, it's awesome. And I think the other thing too, like I liked Infinite Wealth, and it took me a long time to beat because all the side stuff was fun. Jeremy and Jesse are right. Like this game does a really good job of like, all right, move on to the next dungeon. Keep the game pushes you forward so fast because you have like maybe each like, it does have the same kind of calendar system. Like every month there's a new dungeon kind of, but it's like you'll have maybe 3 or 4 side quests. And it's like the game doesn't really encourage you or want you to like just aimlessly grind and waste the day. It's like, all right, start going towards the main quest again. You have stuff to do. The election's coming. So it's never like too much. It's like, oh, let's go. You're always kind of appropriately leveled at each area. But the game keeps moving you forward. But I would be so happy to grind 100 hours in this infinitely. But I will keep pushing forward. But yeah, and then the quality of life stuff, like the checkpoint system's friendly. Just having the weakness system, like, oh yeah, if you get destroyed in a battle, you can click L3 to start the battle from the beginning. So like,
yeah, right.
So when people can cheese the game, like if you start fighting an enemy, use all your different like mage abilities like fire, ice, electric, wind. See what it's weak to. Then you can reset the battle and then start from there. So
saves coming in fights.
Yeah,
bro.
but it lets you. So it's I feel like they make the game friendlier and friendlier, and so that's been really joyous and just I don't know. The game is amazing. It's smooth.
Dude, the music also,
Oh my
before
God,
we
it's
move on. Oh my
crazy.
God, it's so good. Every time you go to whatever it's called to talk to Moray, however you say that name, it looks like his name can't be more. It's like, it's so good. It's like, oh, just what? Oh my God. Oh, to my soul.
It's great.
So good.
The time system is really interesting too, because it's like I feel like I have an antagonistic relationship to the schedule system in these games, because it's like everything is so interesting and there's so many cool characters, and I have to level up my
Like
stats.
punished.
It is. I have a very sort of like, I resent the time system, but I respect it or something. Where it's like the game would not be the same if you had infinite time to do all of these things. It'd be some sort of like Hawaiian Vacation RPG. But I just like, I constantly feel like I've sat for 5 minutes just like eating my dinner in front of Metaphor on pause, and I was like, should I like hang out with this guy to like increase my tolerance stat? Like, is that really what I want to do? And it's like the most fucking minor. It's literally just like 6 text boxes and like half a day. But I was like, I don't know. It feels very weighty.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, this game rules.
Metaphor. ReFantazio. Best Italian game. Best
IRPG.
The Tony Soprano Award of excellence.
The Gabagool of 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. You're cooking.
What do we think? There's a lot in this game. This is a maybe Persona is the hook here, or the studio, or the, I don't know what else you.
Yeah, it's like the grandiosity of the RPG experience as well. Like it feels like almost like Tolkien like or something. I keep thinking of Tolkien when I'm playing this, that this is like the Japanese Tolkien or something.
That's with the J, putting the J in J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, Japanese R.R. Tolkien. Japanese role-playing game
ReFantazio.
JRPG Tolkien.
Oh my God, wait. That's the JRPG Tolkien Award.
RPG, yeah, with the dots. The
Yeah.
JRPG Tolkien Award.
Tolkien.
Wow, that was quick.
I must be. Is that how it is? That
Yeah, JRR, right?
JRR.
J period R period R.
John Ronald Rule Tolkien was his name. Rule.
Ronald Rule.
That guy
Cool.
rules.
Ronald REUEL.
I thought you were going to say Reagan, honestly. John Ronald Reagan Tolkien.
Reagan Tolkien. I wish
I
that
knew
was
it
his
this
name.
whole time.
All right. Well,
JRPG
are
Tolkien.
we, I don't know. Like,
It's hard to beat.
should we spend another 2 minutes coming up with worse names to go back to JRPG Tolkien Award?
It's pretty good. Frank, how do you feel about it? I feel like you've played the most of this game, and I wanted to give it a title that feels befitting of its
Yeah,
grandeur.
the like the other route is like, I do think of like the Renaissance period, and like even this year does feel like we're in a JRPG Renaissance because there's so much stuff coming out, and like but JRR could be.
I will say this game does not take place in the Renaissance.
No, I know, but there is like the Vitruvian Man, and a lot of like like that kind of stuff.
yeah.
A lot of that art and influence is in here. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think of like the Renaissance period. I do think of because even like it does have like a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff, but even the success of all of like Miyazaki's fantasy stuff, it does finally come true here. I mean, there was like Ni no Kuni, which I liked, but it's nowhere on this scale. Like this is so huge.
And the Tolkien feels huge to me,
Yeah,
at least. You know
epic.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Western, it's right up there with like
Yeah.
the most important Western tomes of literature. You know.
Yeah, and like I feel like
World
the
building.
map being such an important, like the feeling that you're on a Hobbit like adventure across this land rather than constrained into like going home to the coffee shop and sleeping next to your cat.
All right, I think we're locking it in, guys. JRPG Tolkien Award. You kind of need it written down to get it.
You gotta
but
see it. You gotta see it.
J.or.P.G. It's also funnier because it's an extra letter. I think
Yeah.
that's makes it even stupider. Like this person has like 3 fucking middle names that they're gonna put in there. JRPG Tolkien Award for Metaphor ReFantazio. Speaking of round the world adventures, our next game came out just inside the window for Game of the Year. About as late as I've ever seen a AAA game. There was an old sort of practice where the last, before Thanksgiving, basically, was even in Europe, you would never get a AAA game released past the like second week in November. Like this came out December 9th from Machine Games. You know them, of course, from many people who worked on the Chronicles of Riddick Butcher Bay, or at least my name is Fat Mike on the Discord does. The Wolfenstein series and whatnot. Out of Uppsala, Sweden, Machine Games' Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It's not going to win Name of the Year for sure, but it ended up, surprising a lot of people, I think, with just how good and unique this game is, at least to me. I'm very interested in what you all thought, because I ranted and raved about this on the podcast when I was just out from under that embargo, but you guys... I think all three of you have since played it. Is that true? Nod. Okay. Who wants to go first?
I really, really liked Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I haven't finished it yet. Here's the thing. I'm going to have opinions on this game that are limited to my very short exposure to it, because I only got to the end of the Vatican.
Oh, cool.
But I played for 12 hours.
Wow.
You must have done. Did you do everything?
Bro, I did everything.
Okay,
I was in
that's a long
the
time
Vatican.
for just the Vatican.
Yeah, like hurry up, brother. Just follow the freaking pick up your map and go where you're supposed to go.
Spoiler, I beat this game in only
In 12
slightly
hours.
longer.
Did you really? You've beaten it?
I did complete it.
Holy shit. I still not completed it, and I have 24 hours.
I completed it in, it only took me a few hours more than 1,000 Times Resist. It was probably like 15. I did do some side stuff in every area, but not clearly as much.
Excellent.
You zoomed. Yeah, wow. Because
That's
man,
awesome.
the Vatican just on its own, I think, I can't speak on this game as a whole product, but I think just in the way it introduces itself, the way that it gives you the opportunities to like be Indiana Jones, not in like the be Spider-Man, you swing around. Like this game begs you to explore and be curious about its world. The Vatican, literally the Vatican. It's like we want you to walk around and find some Christian or Catholic, secrets and solve them. And it's like, sure, why not? I'll figure out the secrets to whatever the hell. I'll look for it. I'll find the archdiocese. I don't know any Catholic terms. Danny, save me.
Sure.
But like,
I mean, you won't find an archdiocese in the Vatican, but
sure,
You
whatever.
sure
I don't know. I'll find the Lord.
It's
just there's something about it. The way Machine Games makes games, it makes me want to explore areas. Finding secrets, even in the original Wolfenstein, not the original, sorry, the Wolfenstein games that they made, is just so much fun, because there's this like little hints, little tiny things that you find in the corner, a light shining through a hole or something that's carried over into Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. There's this abundance of design and like just obvious signposting that's not like overly obvious. It makes you feel like a genius for finding something, because again, you're in the Vatican. Like this game makes you feel like a genius for finding something that people have been in this building for like 2,000 years. They should have already found this. But just little things like that, and it's just the Indiana Jones aspect of it, the presentation, the storytelling. I love Voss. He's so evil. I've only seen him one time. Like again, I'm speaking very early terms. I want to know what everyone else thinks, especially because you guys are further in the game. But
let me just pull it back a little bit, just in terms
Yeah.
of like what we're talking about here, gameplay wise, because it is a fairly significant leap from the Wolfenstein stuff. So like the game opens up with some linear first person action. Like you can shoot in this game, but you're really sort of pushed towards not, because there's limited ammunition, the shooting isn't particularly accurate, and you've very little health. So it sort of behooves you to be more stealthy in this game. But the opening level is what is it? It's the opening to
Raiders
of the Lost Ark. So which is cool and sort of sets you in that world. And they do a lot of like shot for shot on all the little CG parts there. But what Jesse was talking about, the Vatican, is obviously this sort of like it's like this open. It's like what do you call it? Like a open level, like a world hub. It's a miniature little open world, kind of like a Hitman level, but like way bigger, wherein the Golden Path is set, and then also a bunch of side quests that feel important, and then a bunch of just like, take a photograph of all these fucking cats and, find all these medicine bottles that you'll use for your upgrades and yada yada. And the game is sort of like a human centipede of those levels, right? There's like a couple of little story beats, and then you're in a new open world. A couple of little story beats, and then you're in another one. I've completed the third one at this stage, which I'm guessing is close to the end, Jeremy.
I've
Okay, then don't tell me. Fair enough.
it's hard to know which one you're talking about because there's sort of like staggered beats.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I won't say, but
Could you describe the weather in this place? Like,
nighttime.
nighttime. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, you're getting there.
It's boat, and then after boat.
Oh, that part. Okay, yeah,
After
yeah.
boat,
Yeah,
and
you're
then
definitely
nighttime.
getting there.
Okay, I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
It feels like I'm right at the end. Yeah. So the Vatican one is that big, and then you do a bunch of other story beats, and then you're in another one, and that's really good. And then you do a bunch of story beats, and you're in another one, and that's like kind of crazy big, and like fuck, we're doing this now. All right. Jeremy, what did you make of it?
I think I was not as hot on this game as everyone else, but there were things that I liked about it. I'm going to talk about the positives first. I do think it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about my criticisms with it, but this is not going to be like
I'd love to.
me shitting on the game because I thought it was good. I thought it was like it never reached the high point that I needed it for me to consider this one of my games of the year. It was consistently like interesting. Okay, here's the thing. Indiana Jones is a fucking great character. Indiana Jones, the world of Indiana Jones, the first and third movies, is like, it's a great world. So I feel like a lot of the things that are cool about this game, it's not that they're easy to pull off, because that is clearly not the case. Disney has proven that is not the fucking case. But you do get a lot for free because, you know, like Indiana Jones he's a great fucking character. He's like he can take a punch. He fights dudes that are like twice his height, but he's like a teacher at like an fictional Ivy League college in Connecticut. And he's like, I don't know. And there's something about him where he's like a lot of heroes, especially even like Han Solo, I think is a good counterpoint for Indiana Jones, because Han Solo has sort of the same like cocksure, I don't give a fuck Harrison Ford in the 80s energy, but Han Solo is kind of like, he doesn't care about anything. He's like a rogue who just like eventually throughout the Star Wars movies is like, oh, I guess I care about people. But as a character archetype, he doesn't give a fuck about anyone. Indiana Jones is the opposite. He cares about archaeology so much. And some of the most joyous moments in this game's story are when he comes across another person who also is like insane about archaeology. And they're like, oh my God, that's the Metatron. Did you know the Metatron was this? And they're like, yeah, but did you know the Metatron was this? And it's like, I fucking love that shit because it's just like, they're just nerding
Nerds,
out. So yeah. He's like a nerd who is also like the most, you know, masculine, like, I'm going to fucking, you could punch me in the face. I wouldn't care because I love archaeology. So I thought that the story started out really strong. I do think that by the story was the thing. The reason I completed this game is the story, basically. I thought the story was really interesting. I thought there were some really good characters. No spoilers at all here. I'll just say names, and people, when they run into them, will be like, oh, cool, that is a good character. Nawal, I thought, was a very good character. Dame Nawal. Voss is... Nawal
Dave Nawal. Yeah.
The second big area.
Yeah, she's terrific. Yeah.
Voss is a great character. I think a lot of that comes for free because Voss is basically Belloc from Raiders, but with sort of like Belloc is more
younger.
of like younger and more like active. Belloc is kind of like I don't know, like he's like in a trench coat. He looks kind of chubby, and he's like
the back and forth between him and the army guy is absolutely fucking brilliant.
Gauntz or whatever.
That whole stuff was absolutely terrific.
So that's the stuff
their relationship. I felt like there was something homoerotic going on.
100%. That was the stuff that kept me invested in this game. Was I would kind of like. I found this game very tedious to play. I'll be totally honest. I thought that a lot of it was a story beat would happen. I'd be like, that was fucking sick. This is like the fourth best Indiana Jones movie. And then I would play a bunch of a level, and it would be a lot of like very linear, very on rails experiences where you, especially the temples, you like go in and the environments for the puzzles are sort of like very locked down. There's typically like one thing to do. You're kind of just looking for the right button to push, or there's one key in the room and there's one hole for the key, and you're just like, let me walk to this and put it in this. I felt like there were maybe like 3 real puzzles in the whole game. I did not play every side quest, but I played at least a few in every area. And then like a lot of the temples was just sort of like finding the one spot where you can attach your whip and just walking around until you find the one thing you can interact with to progress in any one environment.
I will say, I think the harder puzzles are off the golden path, I would say. Like like there are some like motherfucker puzzles that are like optional things that you have to figure out. I'm not sure if in Giza did you come across like I'm not sure which are actually the hard ones, but like the oh yeah, I guess I said one of the areas that you go to.
That's right. It's like the first half.
Yeah. The weather one. That was an interesting. There's a bunch of like lockpick ones that involve like 3 or 4 different pages of ciphers that you have to like figure out. Or
there were some
there's a
like
cog one that's like there's a cog one.
I remember the cog one. Yeah,
that's in the main quest. There are way harder cog ones that you run into off the beaten path. But I hear what you're saying. They're trying to get you through those. Like the only one that I found interesting and novel was probably the sort of chessboard thing that they make you do.
I like the chessboard. That's one of the few that I did like. Yeah, I feel like that speaks to kind of the thing about this game that lost me a little bit is it felt like the game was very afraid to push me, to challenge me that hard. It felt like, because here's the thing, if it's let's say a fictional alternate version of this game where the temples are the same, but there's modularity where there's like they don't signpost what the whip can attach to, but maybe the whip is like context sensitive. It can attach to 5 different things in this room, and the room diverges more. Now you have a situation where some percentage of people will go into that room, not find the thing to attach to, get frustrated, and drop the game. It felt like this game was very afraid for me to get lost or frustrated in any way, and I think that is valid because that is like playtesting can reveal those things. Then maybe you narrow the path or whatever. But I did feel like it was almost. Like, I almost felt like I was playing a quick time event game for a lot of it, especially the temples, just because it felt so on rails. And then, like, obviously, the combat stuff is more open, but I feel like there was never really a moment where there was, like, a Dishonored level kind of, like, I felt like I was playing Far Cry more than I was playing Dishonored.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it is very... Like, even a game like Tomb Raider will obviously have the obvious way you're supposed to go, but they won't have... as much I guess you're able to sort of walk around some of those areas and climb up on the wrong part, but whereas in this game, if you're climbing up on the wrong part, the game is probably not put the white paint in the right spot or whatever. And the same is the case with the stealth. Like the stealth in this game is these are the most like the cataracts that these Nazis
I did walk right in front of some Nazis
must have and you can turn this stuff up, so like you can make the difficulty harder on both the puzzles and on the maybe you can't make them harder on the
puzzles caps out at like normal, and
you're
the
right.
combat has a hard mode.
There's like an easy puzzle mode as well, which Jesus Christ, if that was the hard mode, yeah, and then you can put the other ones up. But that's fair. It's funny how I think I don't find this a difficult game in any way at all. Like, I don't find the combat hard, the stealth hard. I don't find the puzzles that hard. There's a couple of hard puzzles off the beaten path, but also you can just not do those. Leave those till last if you want. So yeah, I think if the core collectionism of this game doesn't appeal to you, I think I can totally see why this would be disinteresting.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is that I think if the story had if seeing the whole arc of the story through had delivered it in a way where I was like, holy shit, they did it, I think those things would have been more forgivable, because I don't think that this is a game that's like this. I don't think this is anyone's 10 out of 10 stealth action game. I don't think this is anyone's 10 out of 10 puzzle game. I don't think this is anyone's 10 out of 10 exploration game. I think it does all of those things in a way that is like adequate. And I think the story has moments where it does ascend to that like, oh, this is getting pretty good. Yeah. I just think that like they didn't stick the landing, in my opinion, and I thought it lost touch with the Indiana Jones tone in the latter half. I thought the first half felt like an Indiana Jones, like Raiders or Last Crusade, and I think that it transitions into Disney Indiana Jones in the latter half.
Okay, I'm interested in how it ends, because I've been enjoying it the whole time, and I adored exploring the 3 large open world areas that I have had. Like that, to me, it's the same reason I play Hitman games, is to sort of like fuck around and find interesting ways in, and they do a thing, and Jesse would have experienced this with the Vatican, where there are certain sort of like soft gates where they eventually like you get the right uniform or the right costume, and suddenly it starts to open up other areas in interesting and novel ways, and you can sort of like, to me, the first version of walking around the Vatican was trying to like gain access to places, and then there was this collection version of it where I could just dress up as anyone, and I was basically trying to find everything, and that was like a sort of it's almost like a hidden object game at that stage, like where are all these weird little artifacts that all look the same. That like weird piece of rock.
Yeah, the long Among Us.
Yeah, the Among Us guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Frank, did you play much of it, or how'd you feel about it?
I think I'm like maybe like 16 to 20 hours in. So I think I just got to the third area and parked it. My favorite part was the second area of Egypt. Like that to me was like I got into a flow state where I basically did that entire level in one day, like 8 hours. Just oh my god.
That's my favorite area as well. I think of the three, which is saying something because the Vatican was brilliant.
Yeah, I can't. I was been talking to somebody from the Noclip Discord, Kron, shout out, homie, about playing Indiana Jones, and every time I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I love this map so much. I love exploring the Vatican. This is so cool. This is one of my favorite video game levels of the year.
Right.
He's like, dude, that's like the worst one. What do you mean it gets
waiting,
better from there?
Yeah, I was waiting for it to have a big downturn, and then Giza's brilliant. And then I think the two linear levels after, it's kind of one linear level that happens after, but it's a particularly long one, has the most insane, that is maybe my favorite part of the whole game. The ending of all of Giza and the section after it, where you're trying to like hunt down this thing, and it there's parts of this game that do like the supernatural stuff in Indiana Jones is always like very risky because you can go full like fucking Crystal Skull and lose people, and like, or you can like, and I mean the Last Crusade and Temple of Doom and all that, like they do have a lot of like pretty crazy shit that happens, but for some reason it's like it's earned in a way, or it's not too crazy,
it's
or
grounded.
At least
it's like magical
grounded.
realism that's grounded. Yeah,
like the people in the scene also think this is fucking crazy that's happening, and I think they did a great job in this of doing this to the point where by the time the thing happens, you are like, I was with them. I was like, oh, okay, that's great, that's cool, and I loved it. I mean, I'd love to talk spoiler free about that at some stage, but like that whole bit, and like I was waiting for it to happen. That whole level, you're waiting for it to happen. You're like, just do the thing. Just like, obviously that's what you're meant to do. Just do the thing. And then when they do it, the actual thing, the chapter after that is fucking so funny and so brilliant and so ridiculous that I was like, it was one of those moments that felt like the Titanfall 2 levels where I'm like, yay, video games are great. This is so stupid. We're having so much fun. I love that. And then the third area is interesting. I think I don't love it as much as the other two, but they have an interesting aspect to it, and even just visually, they picked like such great levels that all look totally different and have different feelings. You know?
It's a beautiful game.
It is. Yeah.
I think the best thing about this game is the sound. Maybe when you I don't find the combat particularly astounding, but the sound of the guns firing is like fucking. It's when you shoot a gun
punches
in real
too.
life, it's like the punches are really. I mean, it's like the punches sound like Rocky slapping the meat, and that's not a euphemism.
Excuse me.
And the guns sound like when you fire a gun, it's like. Sometimes you play whatever, like Killzone or whatever. It's like, pow, 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 pow. And like, guns are
even past the
scary
guns.
sounding.
I spent like 20 minutes at the start of this game throwing a broom at all of the different surfaces in the college. I was like, what does it sound like when it hits wood? Ooh, what's it sound like when it hits metal?
That's
Ooh.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
the sound of glass
so good.
breaking. And
Yeah.
it's-
Antonio, also very good character in the Vatican. I really like. There's some good characters in
he's
this
really
game.
good.
Yeah,
even
Father
the-
Ventura, even little bastard. And then
Sniffling
Voss
man.
like knocks him down a peg at the end of that whole sequence, and you're like, wow, I thought this guy sucked.
He was really good. And then the scene with the confession booth in the Vatican.
Oh my god,
myself.
so funny,
so
funny.
Troy Baker's
that's enough of
performance is really good.
Troy
I think,
Baker
like,
is-
this, it's super.
Yeah.
Like that's a tricky, like you were saying as well, Jeremy, like you're right. They get a lot with the Indiana Jones feel, but it's a very difficult thing to capture, and they
pull it off
capture
well.
really
Yeah.
well. And he does too. Like I'm surprised, I have never, like, I'm sure if I do a side by side, it doesn't sound like Harrison Ford, but it sounds enough like him, and the performance is so well rounded. Like, because he goes places in this, it's like there is a character development there, and lots of interesting. Yeah, the archaeologist in the third area you meet as well. There's one level where he meets the younger person, and that was really good as well. Yeah, they introduced just some great people. Also, what's his face, who actually passed away a number of months ago, I believe.
Tony Todd, who
Todd.
plays
Yeah.
the giant.
Yeah, what a great, like you don't see that in games. And I wonder if it's because it's in first person or because it's so grounded, but like it's just a big dude. Like
Yeah.
you're scared of him because he's just a fucking big dude, you know? And you're in fights with him and it's like, shit, he's gonna beat me up because his hands are big. Like that doesn't happen.
Machine
in
Games is good at that, man. When the Panzerhuns show up in the old, I keep saying the old Wolfenstein because they're like
The
10 years old.
original,
Yeah.
the first Wolfenstein.
The OG that I played when I was a child. Yeah. My Leben. I just wanted to mention Indiana Jones. I'm not big on it. I didn't grow up with it. I watched them all after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That was my introduction to Indiana Jones, so maybe not
really?
the best one. Yeah.
That's wild.
I know him as the fridge guy, but I didn't think I would care that much about Indiana Jones like as a brand or an IP in this game. And then there's like a quest or like a side thing you can solve, a little puzzle in the prologue area before you get into the Vatican, where the door opens up behind you or in front of you, and there's a light from behind you, and you see the shadow of
they did that
Indiana
so
Jones.
good.
I was like, holy shit. I might love Harrison Ford for the rest of my life now. I think I want to be him when I grow up.
They do a
do.
really
You
good
will.
job of like reminding you that you're him. Like
Yeah.
when you're climbing ladders or going up the rope physics too. I love the swinging and all
So
that
good.
stuff. Jumping off something and doing the RB while you're in the air
Oh,
and then releasing it first time is like
who needs
fucking-
Spider-Man on Xbox?
It's so
who
good.
needs it?
It's so satisfying. And it works physically. If you jump off something sideways and do it, you'll go the other direction.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to for
Some
some
of
of
the
some of the trickier puzzles you do in the second area, you need to do that as well. It's really cool. And they keep introducing new weird things to worry about, like animals with the fire. And like, there's just, to me, it is super linear. Like there's no, this is the opposite of an immersive sim.
That I feel like that I may have been good like framing for me going into it because I thought this was going to be more like Dishonored and it ended up feeling more like a Far Cry game where you're doing Still Wakes the Deep's traversal.
Yeah. It is like it's like a very high budget open world like walking sim.
So traverse them up.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, it's like games like
love
The
that.
Order and stuff like that, where you feel like, but for some reason, I feel like it's almost like because you're going into tombs, which are these very linear claustrophobic things, it like gets away with it in some ways, maybe that like a game in a different scenario wouldn't, or like the Vatican where like, yeah, a lot of these doors are locked. It's the fucking Vatican. Or like in the third area where there's like vegetation that would clearly be obstructing your way. Like it's almost like they picked areas that kind of they get away with some of the fact that you're claustrophobic. It was also cool that like in the Vatican you sort of needed to get to the rooftops to see where you were going, or it was all very that way. And then Giza's just like huge. Like I remember when you start Giza and you're looking across at the pyramids, and I was like, there's no fucking way they'll let you go over that far. And then I was like, oh
And
shit.
Todd Howard came up out of the corner. It's like,
You can go there.
you can go to that. See that pyramid? You can
Well,
climb it.
I don't think you can, but yeah, you know what I mean, Danny. Imaginary Todd Howard. Yeah, shout out to Todd Howard having to stand next to Troy Baker and Harrison Ford as well. That's a rough assignment.
Two big guys.
I really want to know what happened, by the way. Like, there was that nice little brief interaction where Harrison Ford turns to Troy Baker and is like, you did really good. I'm so proud of the fact that you brought my character to life. I wish I did it instead of you. And then there's like another thing he was supposed to say. He's like, no.
I
really wanna know
thought the
what that was.
teleprompter was going too slow, maybe.
Oh,
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I hope it's that, but I also hope
He
it's
seemed
something
like
messy and funny.
Seemed like he had a few vodka martinis as well. Like,
Oh, yeah, he was blazed. He crashed a plane on the way in for
It's
sure.
supposed to be blood as it.
Jeez, I forgot about that. Holy shit! All right, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Let's give it an award. What do we
Give
think?
it Indie Game of the Year.
Okay, this is an indie game of the year.
So
too.
that's the problem.
That's free.
It's right there.
It's right there.
It's
It has
right
been
there.
used a lot, though.
That's true.
This is a joke title. We're not actually using this because it's not celebratory, but I jokingly, after this game felt very linear as I was closing in on the end, I was like, this is Indiana Jones and the Golden Path because it's a game.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
That would be my byline if I was reviewing this game.
I'm gonna write that down too. The Golden. It's a shame because what was one of them called Golden something?
Golden.
Crystal Skull, Dial of Destiny, Raiders of the
Dial
Lost
of
Ark,
Destiny.
Temple
Dial
Doom.
of Destiny. Jesus Christ.
Dial of Destiny sucks. I haven't seen the movie. I just as a title.
It's a
I'm
shit.
saying the title sucks.
Sorry, just the name's bad. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
No, I'm not
It
saying the
sucks.
movie
I don't
sucks.
know, but it
I'm
sucks.
saying Dial of Destiny. If you called anything the Dial of Destiny, it sounds like a fucking soap advertisement.
Dial
Absolutely.
D for
I agree.
Destiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
My like sincere thought as I was playing it was like it is the best video game, the best, what do you say, video game movie video game
Adaptation?
since best one of these since GoldenEye. So it is like my thought as I was playing, I was like, oh yeah, this is the best.
Matrix would like to have a word from.
Oh man.
If it's a shame, it's a shame the whole game isn't set in the Vatican because you could call it immersive him.
Oh, him with a Y.
I got one chuckle.
Yeah.
I got one chuckle.
You got crickets on that one. Much like JRPG Tolkien, it's a joke that works better in writing.
Written down, yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I meant him, the band. You know?
Yeah. Now. Oh wait, no, that's
CKY, but
CKY.
don't worry
Shit,
about it,
never
yeah.
mind. Close enough. Yeah, I don't
Indie
know.
Game of the Year. So it's right there. It's a shame we didn't. I mean, we're the only award show that gives out
Silly award
silly
names, yeah.
dad joke awards. So
That's true. And this is not a slight at this game. As I was playing this game, I was like, this is like a dad game. This is like a game because dads
is,
are now
right.
like
Yeah.
40-year-old dudes who grew up playing games. I was like, this is like a dad game.
and I don't have fucking time to be worrying about this puzzle, Jeremy.
Exactly.
I gotta get up and
Exactly.
bring
My
this
kid
kid
from
to
school.
school.
It
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
puts collectibles on the map once you like buy the books
Yeah,
for
you're
them.
right.
True.
So it's like I do appreciate that. And then a quick aside, I really like that each level has its own kind of currency and like progression thing. I thought that was
Oh,
like a
that's
cute
cool.
way of like knowing when you're kind of. I thought that was cool.
Oh, do they have their own currencies?
Yeah, each level has its own currency. So that and then thankfully
Oh, I
because I was
never
going OCD
noticed.
with collectible stuff is there's more currency that you can get than when you can spend. So you don't literally have to search every corner. So because I was going.
Which
yeah.
is good because they gate you in the third area with something you have to buy. Actually, they do it in the second one
And the
too. Do
And
they?
the
area
first
as
one.
well.
First one you have to
Yeah,
buy
they
a
do it with the
camera.
camera.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about the camera.
So they do
okay,
every time, yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
really
respect to
good.
Machine Games for making a AAA game that looks that good, and it's like here's cameras. You got to do camera missions. Go take photos of stuff.
Yeah, and it's also the hint system. Like you can,
Yeah,
which
I
I
like
didn't
that a lot,
realize
yeah.
for a long
Very
time.
smart.
You
Same.
keep-
I didn't realize it till the penultimate area that if you keep
Right.
taking pictures of a puzzle, it'll be like, maybe
what
try
do you
this. Okay, well, maybe try this too. And then they're like, all right, asshole, just push the left button. And you're like, oh.
And he takes the
Aloy,
camera, turns it around,
you know?
and faces at him like, "Hey, come on."
You need to give that
Figure it
camera
out.
to Aloy because she sometimes people complain that she gives too much,
Yeah.
voiceover of what you're supposed to do.
Speaking of that, I did feel like Gina played a little bit of that role in this game. It did feel
She
like
does, yeah.
there were moments where I was like, oh, cool, like a temple. And she's like, come on, let's get going. I'm like, no one's been in here in 2,000 years. Give me like 5 seconds to like,
Do you know how old this is?
you know. Yeah, exactly. She was a little like, I was like, just like, let me bask a little bit.
There was such a fun old romance going on with the two of them. You know what I mean? Like it's such a
very
it's-
Casablanca.
Yeah, it is. It's very the like hotel. I remember in this third. I forget which area. It was one of the mid levels. I think that whole bit was really clever and yeah. Dad game.
I just have to say it, but the award would be like this game belongs in a museum.
Dude, I literally had that
you just
written
have-
down.
you
Most
just have
likely to belong in a
Well, yeah,
museum.
you just have
Yeah.
to say it belongs in a museum.
Is there a way of expressing that to me what this game is for Game of the Year in terms of its timing is like a representation of the hat underneath the door thing.
That's really good. That's
but
really
I can't
good.
but I can't
Yeah.
word that.
Well, there's like the expression. It's so dumb. There's like saving the cat, but it's like saving the hat award.
Save the hat award. Yeah, no, that's like the perfect visual representation of them sliding it under the wire here.
You're like,
That's a tough one to like.
Yeah,
That's a
I know.
skill,
Condense.
isn't it, in
How
the
is it
game?
expressed in the screenplay? I kind of want to like pull up the Raiders of the Lost screen.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on.
I think the thing that I'm most impressed by this is that it's basically a non-combat first person game that doesn't feel like The Witness or what's the
Forgotten City.
no actually you're right. The Forgotten City is another good example. And then Jeremy, the one you like, the Crow Team one, what's it called?
Sorry,
Talos Principle?
Oh, Talos Principle.
Talos Principle,
Yeah.
similar thing, where like those are games that like you basically don't see humans because you're like, well, you can't put humans in this game because then I'll be able to kill the humans, right? Like that's
how it works.
Speaking of that, one of the funniest things in this game is that there are areas where obviously if you like whip in front of the Nazis and you're dressed as Father Gregory or whatever, they're like, that's not Father Gregory. But when you're running around
It's Gregory, thank you. And my parish in Ravenholm is very upset with you right now.
Yeah. But when you're in the Vatican Library, they're like, they don't, it's not a stealth section, so they don't react to you. So you can like just jump around fucking whipping in the library.
Really?
And
Dude,
they're
when
just
you
like,
slide down the zip lines, you could do it right in front of the black shirts, and they're like, I don't know what he's doing.
what this guy's
Why is he
crazy.
sliding? What a crazy pope.
It is very funny that you keep running into these underground fight clubs everywhere.
Oh,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
And all that stuff is pretty. That was a smart way, I think, of them getting you to upgrade your punching and stuff as well. Because I hadn't been doing, at least it was for me, I hadn't been doing that yet. And then I could not beat that last guy in the Vatican, and I was like, oh, I've not been spending enough book money or whatever, knowledge points.
He just spent my adventure points so I
Is that
could
what
read
they're
this
called?
book.
Yeah, adventure points.
Adventure. I mean, it is such an adventure. Adventure is a adventure.
We've joked about doing
play
best-
with Nazi.
That's true. You got to get Nazi there. We've joked about doing Best Picture in the past.
Oh yeah, we have done that. Yeah.
I feel like this one is a good candidate because I like the best parts of this game for me were like it's a lot of cutscenes too. Like I looked up, I was trying to revisit a cutscene to refresh myself, and the video that's just the compilation of all the cutscenes is like 5+ hours or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I the only thing is the one of the elements I love them like I think the open world, open levels, whatever we're calling them, are the best thing about this game.
I love exploring so much.
So it's that
It sells it
that-
short.
Yeah, a little bit, or it's like focusing on the wrong part or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. Indie Game of the Year is right there. It's so obvious.
I mean, that's a good fallback, but we got to
is.
at least
It's a
try.
good joke, but it's
Todd Howard did make it on stage at the Game Awards.
He wrote it.
No, the joke though, the indie, like
Oh, did he say that?
he
on
said
the
it was.
awards? Oh, okay.
He said something about indie.
He
made
wrote,
the
didn't he
indie.
co-write this game as well?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
cool.
I'm pretty sure. I'll look it
Go
up.
Todd.
And then I kind of touched on the adaptation, but another element is like this is like the right way of doing a legacy sequel. Like I don't want to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford, but the fact that like, and I don't even want to see CGI Harrison Ford in a movie, but them doing this as a video game with like it's like so it is like the best it's like the best my best legacy sequel of the year. That is underselling the adventure.
The Legacy sequel.
exploration.
You
Yeah.
want to use come up with bad words?
Todd Howard was he's credited as third on the stories.
okay.
But I'm not sure if this is in order of whether that's alphabetical or not. I have no idea. And he's executive producer on it, but I think that's just because he's the head of BGS. I'm not sure.
Oh, also the music is fucking great in this
Yeah,
game.
the score
We
is
talked about
like-
sound,
Yes,
but
it
the
is.
score
It's
is unbelievable. You get
And it's-
very John Williams feeling music.
And-
I mean, there's obviously like motifs that reference John Williams music.
And it's dynamic as well, which is really because it kind of has to be because of the nature of it. And even the like little diddly-loo when you hear like when somebody spots you, and then doesn't notice you for 20 seconds, just standing there in front of
I
them.
love how dumb they made the Nazis in this.
What's that over
like,
there?
Oh, so
like,
perfect.
but like also, yeah, it's like Thief for any of these games where like all these people are fucking idiots. They're like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, it must
Yeah.
have been nothing.
There's a great conversation when you're at the end of the Vatican. You're like riding up the bottom of an elevator. You can hear a
with those two
conversation
idiot
between
Nazis
two Nazis
yapping.
or
Oh
two,
yeah.
yeah,
Or whatever, Gestapo.
I can't remember if they're Nazis or Blackshirt because they were I think they were with Voss, but either way they're talking about Italy, and he's like, yeah, like Leonardo da Vinci, and he's like, who the hell's Leonardo da Vinci? And he's like, what? You don't fucking know anything about anything. It's like one of the most famous people in history. It's very funny.
Amazing. Let's kind of highlight indie game of the year and color it green, and then let's come back to it in a sec. We also have to figure out 1,000
Yes.
times resist.
We've got a little backlog on the titling here.
We do. You guys pick that up. I unfortunately have to 1,000 times go to the bathroom.
I think we
Yeah.
might all need to take a little
do
break
we all
here.
need
Why
to
don't we
take-
do
Should
one?
we take a break? Okay.
Yeah.
We take a break? Okay, we'll be
right
back.
back.
We're going to figure out some names and come back. We're going to stare into the toilet bowl and seek answers. See you in a second. And we're back. How was everyone's toilet breaks? What did you do? Number 1, number 2? I went for a number 1 pretty long.
Number 3. I switched it up.
Oh, shit. Wow. He got sick. Is that what that is? I don't know. He purged. All right. We have to purge ourselves of these awards. 1,000 Times Resist does not have an award yet. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle arguably does not have an award. Let's which one do you think is going to be the easier of the two? I heard you guys saying something about Tomb Raider before it came on.
Oh, just joking about giving this the best Tomb Raider award or something.
Good. It's pretty good.
Best Tomb Raider.
I did feel like when I was playing it, I was like, this kind of like does shit on Uncharted a bit. Like I was thinking like, or it makes Uncharted feel way more pulpy and nonsensical or something. I don't know. It's so silly, but it was just like, it made it feel older, like from a different generation, which it kind of is. It always, I was interested by how thrilling I found a game that was so objectively less exciting than Uncharted was. Like Uncharted levels are fucking insane and they're cool. And like, I'm not a huge Uncharted fan, but Uncharted 4 I think is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I just found like, oh, it's crazy how like I found this game as interesting and exciting, even though he's just like a middle-aged guy exploring an old tomb. You know, there's like nothing really crazy going on. He's trying to find a key. He's not like, killing 50 people.
Well, that's part of it, though. Like, I like Indiana. I was thinking about it. Like, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was a good reminder of how normal people are, where I felt like Nathan Drake feels like a superhero with his guns and he's swinging through the air like he's defying gravity, not like Elphaba from Wicked, but he's like defying gravity with his whip and like flying all through the air. Where this is an archaeologist who sucks and can't fight to save his own life half the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that's reflected in the mechanics too, because even though I said that I found this game tedious, I want to be very clear that like the heft and the slowness of a lot of the animations and climbing stuff, that wasn't what bothered me. I actually thought that was like tonally perfect for this game, because it's like, you're like pulling yourself up a cliff and like swinging around and shit. Like it shouldn't feel like Spider-Man. It should feel heavy and hefty and stuff, and it really does. Yeah,
in fact, the accuracy with which he does the whip is one of the only parts that does feel like out of place, but like they had to do it. Like what are they supposed to do? Exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's ridiculous, but like, but even him, climbing up a wall. It's not like you do the whip and then you go like Quake hook mod, fucking fly up there. Yeah.
It's grapple
like,
gun up.
Like pull on the fucking thing. And yeah, it's pretty funny. Slamming into shit. Dude Raider of the Year award.
Dude Raider.
That's what people used to call Uncharted, I think.
Let's just call it. I'm just looking at the script here. We should just call it a lot. We should just call it. You could warn them if only you spoke Jovitos, and just not explain at all.
What is that a reference to?
It's a reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm sorry, it's not a. I'm just literally reading the script.
I need to watch more Raiders and then Temple of Doom. What's the other one again? Last Crusade. Yeah.
Raiders and Last Crusade are the two best ones. Temple of Doom is fun. It's very, very silly.
I like Temple of Doom because I think I saw it first when I was a kid, and I was like, "Woo, this is cool."
I mean, it's great. Yeah,
it's just the little guy.
The first and third one are like
he gets referenced at one stage, actually, doesn't he? In the third area, he gets referenced. What's his name again?
Short Round.
Short Round. Yeah. That's pretty funny. I like that. And then he went on to win an Oscar for Best Actor.
It's true. Great actor.
It's wild. I can't believe that's the same guy. That's fucking crazy. People get old, man. Shit, what's gonna happen to us?
What? Not me. I know I'll never get old.
Perfect.
I'll just play Indiana Jones forever. I'll just enjoy the same franchise that I enjoyed when I was a small child.
Baby.
He's drinking out of the cup of a carpenter this whole time. So
yep, absolutely.
Fuck. Indie game of the year. Indie game of the year
is right there.
Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle. The Golden Path, sorry, was it?
Yeah.
The Golden Shower.
That was not the... we literally made the Golden Shower joke before we started recording when you were away, yeah.
I also gave it the title Indiana Bones and the Golden Retriever, just going forward.
Yeah, we were saying like maybe he's like a dog and like he doesn't actually care about history. He's just digging up bones because he's a dog.
He does... You could argue that he doesn't care about history, or I don't know. He does a lot of smashing things to...
Well, that's true.
Breaking things.
You got to break a few urns to make an omelet.
There is one line he
word
says where he's like, history is meant to be uncovered or discovered, or and he tries to.
Ooh, wait, give it the Rediscovering History Award instead of Rediscovering Mystery from a couple of years ago.
That's a real. That documentary is now like 7 years old or more.
That's-
maybe.
That
Like
documentary
yesterday.
is half as old as an Indiana Jones movie almost.
Indiana Bones, Indiana Loans,
Indiana Loans. He
Zones.
just breaks your legs if you don't give him your money back.
Exactly.
Indiana Scones.
Indiana
Goes well with butter.
scones. I would go to that store.
Me too.
Fuck.
Yeah, what okay, here, let's before we bounce around to other titles. What is like let's go around the horn here. What is like the thing about this game that makes it game of the year material for you?
Exploring. It's
Yeah.
an exploration game. Exploring those big open worlds and finding stuff, and the whole game is not even just it's exploring both thematically as well. Like you are an explorer exploring places during a time when the world was not easy to, even all those like little tugboats and then walking across the desert and then on a boat and then la la la. By the way, she gets scared of boats really late in that story. She's on a lot of boats, I feel like,
Yeah, that's
throughout
true.
that. That was a bit weird. I wrote down exploitation. That's not
Exploitation.
Whoa, that was your
exploration.
favorite part of the game? All right.
The exploitation.
It belongs in a British museum.
It's good.
Oh, Indy, no. Yeah, I agree with Danny on the exploration for sure. It's just so much fun to just go around and get lost.
Yeah. What about you guys? What about Frank and Jeremy?
I don't know why I was thinking of Hitman and I said Hat Man, World of Exploration.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That is
Because well, you were thinking of Hitman because those levels are like Hitman
yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
Hatman,
Hat
World
Man.
of Exploration.
I think you've done it.
Hat Man.
I mean,
Yeah.
he might have just fucking. Frank was just like waiting in the corner, like that fucking red ninja.
That's so funny.
Hatman, World of Exploration.
Wow.
That's it. Every word works.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Hatman is a great pun on Hitman. He wears a hat. World, it literally is a globe-trotting adventure. Exploration, and the reference to Hitman is a great. That's it.
And you can throw random objects at people in the game.
can. You're
That's
right.
true. So you beat the
can.
fuck out of people with a guitar. Game of the year.
Frank Howley with the fucking.
done.
Wow. Wow.
was
Indie
beautiful.
Game of the Year. Move over. Indiana Jones is getting the Hatman World of Exploration. Award.
If you don't get it, it sounds so fucking psychotic. And then it clicks and you're like, oh, it's brilliant.
But that also feels like something the Nazis. Oh, it's the Hatsman again.
The Hatsman.
Yeah, with the accent though, is he hatted or is he hot? He's a hot man.
Well, Harrison Ford's also
man.
hot.
He's
so
also-
it's
it
like-
could be
True.
hot
Whoa, it
man.
works on so many layers.
Hot Man World of Exploration.
Wow.
He's so hot.
Incredible work, Frank.
Say hi.
Unbelievable. Okay, God, I just want to soak in that for another second or two. That's just such a good one.
It's beautiful.
1,000 times resist then. And also, wait, Jesse, did you say before we recorded that maybe you had a new one for one of these?
Yeah,
UFO
UFO 50. I'm not against Deja New, but I'm like, is there something else? Jeremy, are you still dig? You came up with it. Are you still digging Deja New?
I
or-
very much pitched it as we have nothing else. Let me plug the hole in the boat so we don't sink.
Okay, because I don't want to override yours if you had, because you're big on that game.
You're coming in with confidence. You're like, this
I'm
is gonna
feeling
be-
okay about it. I don't know. It's, the more time goes on, it's not as good as Hatman World of Exploration, but it's
But what is
what is?
really?
true. I was thinking about it like it takes forever to play. It took forever to make. In the theoretical sense for the developers of the fake version of the game, it took forever to make. I was thinking Time Well Wasted Award. Because it's
Did we
like
do that
it's
already?
I don't think so.
For some reason,
Even if
I
we
have
did, it's okay if we have repeats.
time well wasted.
The time, because I was thinking like a life well wasted. I love that podcast. It's like history of games a little bit. Time well wasted award.
It's a clever reference. I feel like it implies that the game is a waste of time accidentally. a little bit.
It's okay. We're playing video games.
That's true.
Let's have a little self acknowledgement. All right.
Hey man, play is an
not-
important part of human
Yeah,
experience.
it's not a bad pull. It's I don't know if it's Deja Nu is already such a Deja Nu. The only reason Deja Nu is staying in there because of the U umlaut that you suggested, Jesse. Big fan of that.
Unfortunately.
Are we keeping Deja Nu for the moment? What do we think?
We can keep it.
I
Nothing better.
think it's maybe the strongest candidate so far. It's funny that Jesse said rediscovering history because I saw someone suggest that for UFO 50 somewhere because Derek Yu was in the rediscovering mystery doc.
Yes, that's true.
I also liked when someone mentioned like the making history award, which again, like they had to make the whole, like they made history because of this project is just so ambitious.
Did they make history? Like I don't think they made history. Yeah. Like that's the only thing.
Well, it's the fictionalized history that they made, right? Of like this fake developer, all that.
Yeah. But it doesn't. A double entendre only works if both entendre.
That's true.
1,000 times resist. It's the last one here without green text on our document. With a burn.
Yeah, this one's hard because there's so many different things wrapped up in it. It's easy to get sort of melancholy, but I guess the game is also melancholy, so it's okay if you get a little too heavy on the name.
Just to refresh people, we had written down story, best AMV, 1,000 thumbs up, near, best sci-fi game, and then of course we had the Thinking Man's Stellar Blade.
I didn't want to hear it.
No.
I didn't want to hear it
which has been
repeated.
crossed out.
Which, by the way, there's a free Christmas update out, so new outfits and things
In
like
what,
that.
Stellar Blade?
Shift up checks in the mail, Frank. It's all right. It's on its way.
They should do a crossover, actually, I feel like.
Dude, yeah.
They did 1,000 times
times.
resist Balatro, right?
Yeah,
They
they
did.
did.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game is like, I feel like the fact that it tells a very radical story is also something that could be referenced in here. Like it's like, I don't know. This game is kind of like a narrative bomb in the
Well, I called it a supernova on Blue. Say narrative supernova, champagne supernova.
Champagne supernova.
Yeah.
Okay, he's cooking.
Bomb has an intentionality that I would associate with radicalism that a supernova doesn't,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
That's true, I suppose.
Radical. Yeah, radical is hard to put in anything without people thinking you're a fucking
talking
from
about
Santa
surfers.
Cruz or something. Yeah.
Um,
Radical. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it is. It's like revolutionary or something.
yeah, like it's or like powder keg, maybe something about that.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta. See, we only have the tough ones left. See, this is how this goes every year. We nail a bunch of them, and there's always like 3 fucking insane ones. The last episode is just us scratching our heads.
I think you guys just pulled out some absolute fucking 3-pointers out of nowhere with JRPG Tolkien.
I forgot about
Hatman
JRPG
World of
Tolkien.
Exploration. Jesus. Killer Seventh Seal. Frank's on a fucking roll, actually. Absolutely insane. Yeah, this is a really hard one. It's just, yeah. All right, what are the quintessential things about 1,000 times? It's the story, right? It's the story, it's the world, it's the...
It's
I
like
guess-
a fearlessness about it too. Like it feels like it's a game about facing very difficult realities and not shying away from them, and also like taking action to steer history in a new way, to break cycles, to process trauma in a way that isn't just sort of like self-helpy and like let me it breaks beyond the individualistic idea of processing trauma, which is that like I just need to get good enough to survive, and it's like how can we actually fix this, break this cycle.
That's the problem. It's so... anything we do is going to make it feel lesser.
Yeah, it'll
Exactly.
cheapen it.
It's too important to be a pithy 5-word
Yeah.
award.
It won the wrong award. The wrong awards show. Best AMV, is it? Yeah, taking out. Yeah, best narrative. You could just straight up give it.
Yeah, I mean, if that feels adequate, I think that's fine.
It does have one of the best stories I've
Yeah,
seen in games in a long time.
I would argue not even just in games. I think it's just one of my favorite
one of the
sci-fi
best stories
stories.
in general, for
Yeah.
sure.
That is a lofty praise.
Oh,
It's one of the best
one of my favorite
stories
sci-fi
in a long
stories.
time. No, in a long
Favorite
time. I was
my-
saying that was where that started. Not, I mean, I don't know where it falls on the all-timer chart.
Pull up the Goodreads top 100. Pick which book it goes between.
Yeah, let's rank it.
Yeah, is it better than number 54, Isaac Asimov's? What is he?
Is it better than the Bible?
Yes.
Most things are.
I'm also trying to think of Frank referenced like different science fiction awards and science fiction authors and stuff. I'm trying to think of like, you know, some famous titles and stuff like from Asimov and those folks. Because it does have like a little bit of that. It feels like those books have a very sort of like crusty old sci-fi feel to them, and I feel like this captures a lot of the grandiosity of old sci-fi, but in a way that feels very fresh and new and in touch.
Yeah, it's
with
got
the
that
world
like hopeful acknowledgement of the fact that like we live on this tiny little world in this big space. You know, like Carl Sagan always thinking about the pale blue dot. It's like,
hell yeah.
It's this insignificance of humanity that also makes it so important that we bond together and like find a hopeful way to look forward. You know,
I'm wondering if like the radical thing is also like extremist or revolutionary or militant or something.
It's also
in
like
a positive
new
way for sure.
It's also like finding new ways of living, or like it's kind of this game is kind of a like reorganizing society repeatedly or something.
Yeah.
So it's like this is like a new like finding, I don't know, something about like
How Do You Live award.
yeah. I was trying not to say the name of the new Miyazaki movie, but that's basically what I'm getting at.
What is it?
This is what this.
This is How Do You Live.
This is how we do it. What the fuck is that movie
This is
called?
how we
This is how we do it.
What the fuck is, this is how do you live?
By Miyazaki.
It's called The Boy and the Heron here. That's why
The
I
boy
can't fucking
and the
remember.
heron.
I remember, I think Jesse recommended a book called This Is How You Lose the Time War. I was just trying to think of like good, huge sci-fi novels, but there's something about a huge passage of time with this game. So I don't know if time or something related to that is also relative.
Yeah, that's true. It is. There's a scale of epic scale.
And an epoch isn't also like a
Epoch is a 10,000 years. How long?
period
is
of
an epoch?
time.
It is a specific though.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't it? I thought it
Didn't
was.
know.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
It's been an
I thought it was.
epoch since you called your mom award. We've already got a your dad's not coming home award. Now we got a you got to call your mom award.
Several million years, I guess. In geological, it's a geological thing. My dad used to have this great phrase that we don't use anymore. I feel like I've only ever heard him say it, where he's talking about something that's old. He would say it's as old as Methuselah.
Nice.
Who is the oldest? He's a biblical character, Old Testament, I'm pretty sure. Who's like
Also, the oldest tree on Earth is named Methuselah.
It
as
is,
a reference
yeah.
to
Oh,
that.
cool.
He is the oldest man in Scripture. I guess he lived to be like almost 1,000 or something. But he said, "Oh, Jesus, that's as old as Methuselah." And I used to be like, "Who the fuck is Methuselah? what are you talking
It's a
about?"
beautiful name.
It is, yeah.
This is okay. Here's another thought. I don't have a title here. I'm just spitting here. This game is also like, I feel like there's a way in which when you have a serious problem, you can kind of push it away, and like some people like have a problem that they push away their entire lives and then they die without ever solving it, because this is a game about sort of one person being like cloned and essentially kind of like reincarnated. There's almost this like karmic wheel thing where it's like the story is holding on to this person while they work through their issues from a million different fucking perspectives. And so there's this kind of like, I don't know, this like karmic cycle or something in it.
Karmic wheel of time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do like that.
Fuck.
Like
It's something
the karmic,
about
like
that,
the
like-
loop.
Yeah, it's like burning through karma in a story, because it's like that is the idea of karma, is that, you know, reincarnation as you're burning through this like residual energy that you have to burn through. So there's something there maybe.
It's so hard. It's gonna be so hard to, get something that's. I mean, I'm not helping just saying that, but
No, it's all right.
it's a tricky one.
Yeah,
I think
like you-
the idea of cycle, I think, is important here. I've
Very.
freaking just
Just
to give
wanna
us
say
some.
break the cycle and name it after a Stained album. We just breaking the cycle award.
Not when you put it that way. I
You
did
didn't say
until
that
you
second
said
part.
that.
It was good. Yeah.
The Breaking the Habit award, like a Linkin
No,
Park song.
it's not better.
No new metal references.
fighting for.
Now we're back to best AMP.
Yeah, I only know that song because
Yeah,
AMPs.
yeah,
if I'm
you're
being
right,
honest
yeah.
with myself.
Yeah.
Good track.
Most likely to be
Sephiroth moves
re-edited to a Linkin Park song.
Yeah, I could see it. The opening stab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's worth fighting for? Ooh, hold on. Worth fighting for?
Calm like a bomb. We'll just
The world
do
worth fighting
Rage
for
Against the
award?
Machine instead. Yeah, fuck.
I know, this one's so hard. Should we bounce around a little bit?
Where?
Back to Indiana Jones.
If we just keep
No,
saying
we
I
already
don't know
got it.
for different games, then maybe we could just do this forever.
We have
Yeah.
all the other ones. This is the last
True.
one.
Is this the very last
This is
one?
the
This is
last
the last
one.
one.
Shit.
We did it. Frank Howley slayed that dragon.
He did, you're right. The Cosmic Void of Sorrow Award.
See, I feel bad because this is the game I played the least, so it's like I don't
it's
know. What's
okay.
exact. It's
Sit
like there's
back.
anime, sci-fi.
The Hair to Hair Award.
The
the Hecky Grace Award.
6-1. Red to
God,
blue.
the fucking
Yeah.
writing in this game.
Yeah.
It's not even a story. It's the writing. It's like
Yeah,
the
like the
story
individual
is good,
lines are
but the
just
writing,
like-
the dialogue is so strong.
Right in your
the,
mouth.
There's like it is the most. You could get 1,000 tattoos out of this fucking bad
Yeah.
boy. There's so many like little phrases that are just like, ooh, shit. The fuck you talking about? But okay, that sounds rad. I don't really
kinda-
get it, but yeah, I feel smart.
It's kind of like it's like a Gordian knot as well. I keep thinking of like there's all this sort of like knotted up like trauma and political tension and like the world is fucked and then they're like, okay, well let's like move on to a different type of world. They're like, okay, well this world is fucked too. And then the Gordian knot. What is
What's a
is it
Gordian
The
knot? Is
Mobius strip with the
Isn't it-
Mobius
isn't the
strip of
Gordian knot
trauma.
the-
possibly difficult knot?
the thing that Alexander the Great cut through with his sword?
Well, that's fucking anyone could cut through a knot.
Well, but he was the only one who
Untangling the
thought
knots.
to do it. Everyone was like,
Oh.
"How do you?" I don't know. I actually don't know the myth of the Gordian
Everyone
knot. I
back
just-
then too stupid to figure out that you cut the rope with a sword.
There's no game
That's
facts
what we had,
back
Alex.
then.
they were trying to untangle the Christmas lights.
I gotta check the walkthrough.
Holy shit!
Holy fuck.
No game facts.
Yeah, or like a Ouroboros is another. I'm just trying to think of like symbols that can, because like here's the thing: the ideas of this game are so complex. That's why we're having trouble being like the unraveling trauma. Like it's hard to compress into a term. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of sort of like mythological or symbolic tools.
Just
to get
call
us
it
there.
the hard to explain why this game is good, but seriously, you should play it. The writing's pretty fucking great award.
We
Take
do
my
have some
word
long
for it.
award names.
Yeah.
There's also a play on like because like the idea with I like also just best writing because it's short and concise, which I think of like Hemingway and like a lot of writing is like no, just cut all
Yeah,
the words, but then
brevity,
going
yeah.
opposite and just having
Yeah.
such a long thing is kind of good.
It is taken on its own, it does not feel very radical, but it is a radical award in the context of our awards, which are, my dad went out for a pack of Balatro and never came back. Best writing seems a bit, stands out.
Yeah, I do feel like the fact that it is so challenging and radical in its ideas is, I don't know. It's either it's the core things for me are like it's breaking this cycle by taking radical action, and that it itself is like a radical departure from what you might expect out of this kind of story.
Yeah, it's also just like I've never really played a game like this. Like it's fucking really crazy. It's just like it's kind of virtual novel. It's kind of like sometimes it's fucking fixed camera, sometimes it's third person, sometimes it's like 2D, sometimes it's a game where you're jumping through the air to get to new narrative beats by logging onto those little things. But then later now I realize what they are, which is pretty good. But
Yeah, the artistic background of the development team is I think a big part of what makes this stand out so much because they're coming at it not from like game developer minded ways of making it. They're like they're a lot of them are in performing arts, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of them are in stage plays and stuff. So that comes through I think in a lot of the storytelling, which is really cool.
Yeah, it does have sort of like a multidisciplinary thing to it that shines through in a lot of it. Like it dives into like real historical events. It has this sort of like theatrical performance capture stuff going on. The other thing
Would you
that
say it's
keeps
perhaps a tapestry of
tapestry.
humanity?
I feel like we've
Humanity
used.
work.
Did we use that? We did that
We did,
already.
yeah.
right?
We did tapestry of humanity. That was Pentiment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's maybe okay. I keep picturing. I'm trying to think of more like visual metaphors for what this is. It's also kind of like escape velocity or something. Like it feels like this story is like fucking spiraling around the drain in these cycles until it can like shoot off or something. And also it's kind of like vaguely space feeling because it's sci-fi. I know.
Only you, dear listener, know how long it took us
Yeah.
to either admit defeat or come up with an answer.
VOD watchers skip 5 minutes.
My brain is also stuck on most thought-provoking, not as a title, but just to springboard off of something.
Oh, it's provocative and it's thought
It
provoking.
gets the people going.
Something like that.
The whole room turns to Frank and says, "Tell us more, Frank. You're on fire right now."
Keep going, please.
I just wish I played more. Wish I played more of a ward.
I don't know. I think your perspective actually is helpful. Maybe. At this
Yeah,
stage.
Yeah,
Not
because you're
being
not
so
in
deep
the
soup.
weeds like the rest of us.
I really like the fact that it's like Titanfall. You click L to go present day, click R to go back inside. I don't know. I like the time shift of it was really cool.
God, that sound when I do that is so good. The sound design in that game is so good. All that sound stuff.
Yeah, there is something about like multiple perspectives as well. Like the fact that you're skipping through different stages of time to see multiple perspectives on this thing. The fact that there are like a bunch of different characters who all have different perspectives on this thing. There's something about
it's like a fourth dimensional being, like a temporal panopticon.
prism.
You're just
Oh,
like
that's-
looking around.
it's like a prism. I don't know. I thought
Hold
something
on,
would
he's
come
cooking.
to me.
Come up with more shapes.
I thought
It's
it would
like-
come to me when I said prism twice.
The
Prism
two
kinda
things that
works,
stick
though,
out
too.
when I think of like narratives that explore time in that unique ways. Like there's like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen. There's also Watch as a time pun, so it could be something there. But then there's
Yeah,
that.
and you are the watcher.
There's
That's true.
what was it? Arrival, but stories, the stories of your life, that Ted Chiang book, like stories are the way like the aliens perceive time is so unique. But there's something about like this game being a very unique and the way it handles time that's the thing that keeps sticking out to me. But also different perspectives, different time zones. Wait.
Time zones. Stories of Your Life is a good name, but also
No, but that's
a book.
that's the book that it comes from. But it's like I think that's why when I started playing, I was like, oh, this does feel like Ted Chiang.
totally. Yeah.
This game came from Vancouver, or I know there's a lot
It did, yeah.
of people, but best Canadian game of the year. No,
Hey, hold on. I like it.
Canadians game of the year.
Yeah, baby.
I'm just looking. No, Balatro is also Canada.
Oh yeah, fueled by Tim Hortons.
Best sci-fi game brought to you by Tim Hortons.
The
Powered by
best.
Timbits.
Tim Hortons award. Tim Hortons.
That's how they used to do the Spike VGAs, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
best independent game powered by Do or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching like WWE, and they do that. This match is brought to you by Diablo 4 expansion and this Netflix show.
They do it
and
in sports all the
Snickers.
time. Like best dunk brought to you by Allstate.
The best narrative award.
Man.
I know.
We may have to come back to this one next week.
We may have to. I'm
We
still
may
trying
have to
to
come back to
before
this next week.
we call it quits. I'm still trying to just think about like how to concrete this idea that it's like this fucking everyone is dealing with like the same fucking core traumatic issue of like handing struggle from one generation to the next, and like no matter how many people fight, it's just like, oh no, shit is still fucked. But then they still have to fight. Like it's a game that is like fighting may be futile and like the struggle may be inevitable, but like it
That doesn't mean you
perseveres
can
in the
give
face
up.
of that.
You
yeah.
gotta resist 1,000 times.
Yeah, exactly.
The resist 1,000 times award.
They should call this game like 1,000 times resist.
We should give it the deny, defund, and depose award.
Jesus.
It does have a little bit of that sauce.
Yeah, it's
in
got
it.
a little Luigi
Little
sauce
Luigi
going on
sauce
for
in
sure.
it.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of the themes of this are sort of like yeah to me because I'm Irish, and it's like, well, yeah,
Probably,
our entire like basis of our republic is based on 800 years of like trying to get somebody to fuck off, and then
Can
eventually
you round
doing
that
it,
up
going,
to 1,000 years?
"Woo!" Well, it's close enough, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you just keep fighting until they get bored. Or some other shit's going on somewhere else. You're like, oh, do it now, do it now, do it now. Everyone do it now. It didn't work 5 years ago. Do it now.
Yeah, it's like the
Work this
okay.
time.
Wait, no, hold on. You're cooking. It's like part of this. It's like it's part of like an infinite struggle. Like that, this game feels part and parcel with this sort of like ongoing struggle of humanity against forces of oppression or something. There's like, it's like a link to the past. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, brother.
Some sort of link.
Well done.
Struggle. Generational struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, people say like a generational work when it's like a work that is like prominent. I don't know. So it might be something there. I'm just trying to think of like wordplay now so I can.
The next generation is sci-fi, you know?
Yeah. That's true.
Engage.
The Star Trek, the next generation of sci-fi.
T. Earl Grey. I am not a merry man. We just keep going with the TNG references.
Is Next Generation the one where Picard
Yes.
gets that flute? Yeah. Okay.
It's just what you said for guys.
Well,
Like, yes.
Picard. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Picard.
can remember if there was.
What does he do? He
yeah,
gets a
yeah.
flute,
Yeah, he's got like he goes to some
plays a flute.
planet and he like is. I only know this from a buddy
falls
told
in
me the
love with
story
some
about it.
like 40-something.
Yeah, and he gets like the
it's
yes,
like every
yeah.
second episode.
It's every episode.
Yeah.
he there's a different colored woman that he falls in love with or something.
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if it's like based on some sort of mutual respect, it's that. If it's based entirely on sex, then it's Riker.
Right.
Or-
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it works. It's very difficult for those guys to hold down relationships when they're
Space, man. There's so many options.
Space, exactly.
Yeah, they're like
the
sailors.
truckers of the world.
Trial of
Yeah, we're
flavors.
truckers.
What did you
Space
say?
truckers.
They're what?
Sailors.
Sailors. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think we have to come back to it, but I
Yeah,
think
we
the
do, we
seeds
do.
are planted that
Okay.
everyone take a hot shower tonight and just like let this grow in your brain that it's like
Exactly.
it's something about the infinite struggle.
Unfortunately, if you have good ideas and you've put them in the comments, it has already been too late. Much like a sort of a time war. We are but 2 days away. No, 1 day. It's tomorrow. Is it? We're doing the next one, I think. Yeah. So we're one day away from doing the community one. So we will have to figure it out. But we have almost all of our awards figured out and given out. Bolatro wins the My Dad Went Out for a Pack of Bolatro and Never Came Home award. Astrobot wins They Made One Like They Used To award. UFO 50 brings home the Deja New award. Mouthwashing has the Burns as It Cleans award. 1,000 times resist we'll get back to. Loreline the Laser Eyes has the Killer 7 seal. Anthology of the Killer has the Newgrounds Expressionism award. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has the Endless Vacation award. Metaphor ReFantazio has the JRPG Tolkien award. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has the Hatman: World of Exploration award. Congratulations, gentlemen. This is a real pick of names. Let me tell you. Okay, we'll be back next week then to talk about the community games. Jesse, off the top of your head, is there any games in that we didn't give awards? Any
Off the
ones
top of my head,
come to
we
the-
didn't talk about Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I don't think anyone
Oh, yeah.
was going to. We didn't speak about a lot of love for that. We didn't give any awards to Thank Goodness You're Here.
Oh, yes,
I
of
think you guys
course.
really liked that one though. Talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, wish I played
Yeah.
more. Final
I think
Fantasy.
Indica, by the way, I would have.
Yeah.
I loved Indica actually. The more time passes, the more I'm like, that's the best use of that art style. I love that game.
Which Indica?
Yeah, it was a great game.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked about it a
how
little
weird
bit,
it was.
didn't we? On the
yeah, a little
the
bit.
first
Yeah,
days.
Mini Shoot Adventures. I think you
You're
said
right.
the name of.
I think I did not mention that in the first podcast, and then later
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, that was a game I completed, but it was one of those games I beat it in like a day, so I kind of, or like 2 days, or I think it was when I was 6. So yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah, I wish.
Children
I'd
of the
mentioned
Sun.
it.
I really like that one.
What was that again?
It's like the sniper puzzle game where you get one
yeah.
shot and you got to hit all the guys. That was good.
yeah.
And no one talked about Black Myth Wukong all year, I don't think.
Yeah,
on the pod.
I didn't play it.
Yeah, I didn't care. Yeah.
Did you
I
guys play it?
dabbled. I did dip my toes in it. I wasn't for me.
I'm not a
Yeah.
boss person.
Rush kinda guy,
Boss,
yeah.
that's not. I've never been into that. So
I have trouble connecting with any Souls game that's not a FromSoft game, and I don't
Right.
know. I don't think it's like brand loyalty. Even like Lies of P, I recognize as such a brilliant game that people
Yeah, I love that
and
thing.
for some reason it just didn't click with me. I don't know why.
It's fair. It's the vibes. The vibes are off. Maybe.
Too many
Yeah.
puppets freaking me out.
I think I will play Black Myth eventually.
France.
If it launched on Game Pass, I probably would have played it. Like I didn't want to
Game
buy
Pass
it yet,
award.
so one day.
Yeah.
Frank, what was the best Game Pass game that came out this year?
It might be Indiana Jones, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Call of Duty was good, but nothing new about that. Indiana Jones, like, what the hell? Hell yeah, this is great. I feel like a lot of indie stuff we covered probably launched on Game Pass.
Another Crash
Persona
treasure.
3 Reload. Persona 3 Reload.
Yep, that's
it.
the one. Yep, good pick.
So we'll be talking about a bunch of those games in the next episode. In technically, when you listen to this, the new year. So shout out to the new year. I hope it's fun there in 2025. God, that is, oof, that's starting.
It's a
to
big
sound
number.
Real, futuristic. Okay, until then, Have a good rest of your Christmas week, and we'll see you next week on the podcast. Bye.